Hey, what is up, everybody? Uh, Patrick's in here. JMZ, J Dandy, Summit Perry. Hey, what's up, man? Pudgy is here on time tonight. Oh, there's Large Marge. What's up, guys? So yeah, I actually did a test live stream this afternoon with Aaron. I know I dropped a link in the Discord, but it was the wrong link anyways, so no one would have been able to check it out. But it doesn't matter because I had it unlisted. I went back and watched it. Everything worked perfectly. I was talking about how when I have guests on and we have that echo problem, and then Aaron was like, "Do you have the mic on in your software and on in the Discord?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." So I just turned the volume down in the Discord, thinking, okay, so now there's only one source for the mic, which would be me chatting to the interviewer, the interviewee in the Discord, and now I shouldn't have any problems. I was like, I probably just forgot about that the last couple times I tried it with the chaos of trying to run the whole stream. I watched the stream back. The whole thing is fine. And then when me and Aaron realized that genius idea and I turned the mic down in the Discord or in the software, my voice goes away. That makes no logical sense. So still still some things are mysteries, but it worked the way we had it set up, so I went back to the setup. So hopefully tonight everything goes smooth and now these interviews are worked out. The other thing I figured out, if you've I know Dylan. Oh, what's up, Dylan? So Dylan, I interviewed him, Aaron, if she's watching, and then Large Marge, and I don't think Rick's in here yet. But the problem was that my camera can't go to two places at once. Like, I haven't figured out a way to make that happen, so I just set up a second camera that's dedicated to the Discord. So now when I'm interviewing somebody, looks like my mic's a little hot. They will be able to see me and we'll be able to have a conversation, and that's what will be on screen. So I think that should also be a big improvement and make things a little more natural. If you're wondering why I'm rambling on this about the setup too, that's what we always, when I started this, it was always kind of that goal of adding little elements. So here's another element that hopefully works out. So, hey, what's up, William? William did notice. I noticed that right when I was making the title. This is the 50th evening routine, which is crazy to me. And the fact that kept the schedule all winter, since whenever I had mentioned that we were coming back to do this again. No, I won't be able to hear anything that happens. But yeah, that kept that Tuesday and Thursday. Anyways, I'm going to crack. I have a masthead from Cleveland, and this is their best case scenario double IPA. It's supposed to show off strata hops. So it says a pineapple, mango, and sweet melon flavor from the hops. 50 big ones. So let's see. I know there are a couple photos of other drink photos in the Discord. And now I have a lot of browser windows open, so this might take me a second. There we go. Got it. So Rick was the first one to post a drink photo. Looks like he was drinking a beer that's made out of millet and corn, so that's how he was getting his gluten-free fix. Oh, my mouse. Oh, there we go. Large Marge had a Urban Artifact squeeze box, strawberry Midwest fruit tart. So he's had an a few people have had an Urban Artifact on here. Sours, I think it's all they do. Don't quote me on that, but I don't think I've ever seen them do anything else. Pudgy has a brew kettle, a milk stout, chocolate coconut milk stout. I've had that one before, but it's been a long time. Hey, what's up, Roger? Oh, then Large Marge had his ride with his six-pack. I'll play that one more time. I don't think that caught right at the beginning. Nice. How do I get out of this? Whoops. Oh, and then Patrick was making a martini. Oh, is that a distilled in Arizona? So it must be a kind of like a craft distillery, like a local distillery out there. Large Marge is already on too. Another one. He has a North High Jala Jala Jalalima jalapeno lime ale. Oh, I wonder how that'll be. How spicy it'll be. I just we were talking about that. I was just having one. Where was I? I just had a beer with jalapenos in it, but it was really good. The spice was real understated. I feel like I was with Aaron and Large Marge, and I'm trying to picture where we were at when I was having that. So I beat Funny Brad to 50. 50 actual years. So it's driving me crazy where I just had that jalapeno spiced beer, and I could picture Aaron sitting there, and I feel like Ben, Large Marge, and Funny Brad were there too. But oh, so his martini, the gin was distilled from Williams, Arizona, outside of Flagstaff. Oh, Large Marge is saying the beer I had was that beer. Where was it at though? It wasn't in a. I don't feel like it was in a can, was it? I thought I had a draft of it somewhere. Jolly Lima. Too early for a paddle break? Piddle break. Oh, okay. We had the first fire of the season outside at Aaron's, and Large Marge brought a mixed 6 pack. That's what it was. And so I think I ended up drinking that, or me and Large Marge split that one because Aaron wasn't going to pour a glass of it in case it was too spicy. A lot of times we'll do those. We'll like all have a bunch of different beers and mixed packs, and then we'll just keep splitting them between our glasses so we could try a bunch of different beers. So paddle in a tuna boat. Yeah, Marge, Dylan. I've said it before, but yeah, Marge, well, and Pudgy to an extent, but in real life around here, Large Marge is my memory. So yeah, 50th evening routine. That's awesome. The other good news is I talked to a consultant out at a computer company today, and they actually have plenty of processors and graphics cards. Unfortunately, they have an 8-week backup. They're, I think, building 700 computers. They said they usually turn around a computer in 5 days. And since they have this stockpile of really good graphics cards and processors, they are out 8 weeks. And so I actually ordered a new computer. So hopefully my videos on YouTube will get a little better, because there's certain things I've wanted to do with my YouTube videos where really my computer just cannot handle it anymore. Even there's a video that's going to come out Thursday morning that I'm kind of excited for. I think it was some cool footage. We rode all the way down to Maslin and met some of our friends who were camping down there. And there was a part where I ran both GoPros and I'm showing both angles, and it was just painful to try and put this together and have the screens, split and come back together. So be a little ways out, but when I get that, it's going to be nice, and I'll be like, just be able to do like the color grades I want without bogging down the computer, see it play back smoothly, more video tracks at once, all that kind of stuff. So something that I'm pretty exciting about. So hey, what's up, Ramo or Remo? Oh, R3MO. What? That name's familiar. Is that from YouTube as well? Have you commented on the videos? He just enjoyed a victory brew from downtown Downington, PA. Let's see here. I know we had a bunch of bike pics too from the last couple days. Maybe pop up a couple real quick, but then we'll maybe look at those after we hang out with Paddy. Oh yeah, I was looking at Dylan. Is that fence looks like it's that little bank looks like it's almost vertical there. I was like, how is that I can't even imagine how, is that supposed to be rideable? I need a picture of a bike on that thing. Yeah, out on the mountain bike. And Large Marge, this is from the last video we did when we explored this old barn here, which was pretty cool. It still had a lot of stuff in it. They had this weird section that was drywalled and insulated on the second floor, basically above where Ben's bike is there, which was just really strange. And all these old magazines, we actually found one that was for a local chug-off at the University of Akron. And one of the sponsors was a guy who does flower arrangements, and it turned out it was my brother's neighbor. And yeah, just all this great cool stuff. So yeah. The fence is a wall ride? People wall ride that? Oh my god. Pull that back up. I mean, am I missing? Is the picture? I mean, it looks like it looks like after that curve, it's straight up. Well, I've never, like I always say, I'm not extreme. So, man, I need to see. You need to get someone doing that on video. Post a little clip for us to share. Oh, so Patrick's got an old friend in here. That's who, if I'm saying Ramo, right? Ramo. I would assume it's Ramo, like San Ramo, right? Itchman says his apologies. All I drink is whiskey or mead while he rides these days. Nothing wrong with that. There's There's a meadery not too far from here that I've wanted to go to forever, but their tap room hours are only like a couple hours on the weekends, and I've just never made it out there. I even had a friend who used to work there. Obviously, with the pandemic, I wouldn't have got out there in the last year. I'm not even sure if they have a patio, but yeah. Remo. I'll say it like that. I still got it up there, huh? I'm laughing at the comments. Hermano. Yeah, I mean, as you guys can imagine, those of you who have watched for a while, whiskey and just booze, any kind of like serious booze, is not something I can keep around. I'll get into it, and yeah, so it's better to keep something like that over at Aaron's house. Aaron actually has a lot of stuff to make cocktails and knows how to make really good cocktails. We've only done like Bloody Marys a couple times, though we've never really got into that. So into making them together. Let's see. Pulling Patrick into the Discord. Oh, you're upside down.
I know. Wait a second. How do I fix that?
I don't have you live on the
I can't even. Oh, okay.
I
I can't even see it. Hang on a sec.
All right. So I don't have you up on the channel I'll let you flip that around. But I think you guys can let me know. I think his audio already might be coming through. I have no way to know that. So.
Is that any better? Can you see me right side up?
Now you're 180.
Oh man.
There you're right side up.
How about that?
All right.
I'm always upside down, man.
Here, let me pull you on here and see what everyone says about let's see if yeah, there we go. One more thing I need to do. Where is that? That is this. Hello. Let us know how this is sounding. I think we got it going though. So yeah, I could see us on screen. It'll just be all whether the Paddy's audio is coming through. So I think we're in good shape for a change. So
Check.
Yeah.
The check is in the mail.
Yeah, I got to chat. I got to chat to you a brief time. The first time we tried to do the members when we had everybody on at once, and it was total chaos. So
That was chaos. It was hilarious, but
yeah, I would like to do that again once we get once we get it dialed. If it works tonight, do it a couple more times. It works. I think it would be fun to have like I don't. I mean, we need a little bit of structure, but yeah. So can you see what are you have the Discord window open? You could see and hear me that way.
yeah, yeah. So I can see you. I've got a little thumbnail of myself. I'm doing the Discord through my phone with earplugs here, and then like behind my camera, behind my phone actually is my computer screen, so I can see the chat and the YouTube. But I've got all that muted, so that seems to work.
Nice. Yeah, because mine is. It looks like YouTube delays, like with having different people over here, it could be delayed anywhere from 5 to about 20 seconds. So it could be a little disjointed, but this makes it much nicer. So at least we could have a normal conversation. Patrick's audio
Yeah,
could go up a
cool.
pinch. So, okay, I'll pull that up a little bit. Oh, what's up, Lanky? Lanky's in here now, too. So Jay Dandy said you have a rockin' beard.
Right on, man.
So so we've talked through YouTube, we've talked in the Discord, but we usually have more. So we'll basically do this like we haven't talked that much, for everyone's benefit.
Well, yeah.
So you're in Tucson or Tucson? Are you in Tucson proper or near Tucson?
I'm in Tucson proper. Yeah, I live pretty close to downtown. I live about a 2 mile bike ride from downtown, from the University of Arizona, just in an area called Midtown generally. So yeah, I've lived in this house for 10 or 11 years with my girlfriend Heather. We've been together 14 years. I've lived in Tucson most of the years since 1989. So I don't know. It's home.
89. Yeah, because oh wow. So did did you also then live in Georgia or was that Rusty? Like now,
No, yeah, that was me.
right.
So I did. What year was that? 2003, I think. I moved with a girlfriend to Athens, Georgia. She was going to grad school at UGA, and I didn't. I was kind of a little bit mid-career, was ready for a change, and went and checked out Athens, Georgia for a couple of years, and it's a cool place. But our relationship fizzled up, and I was like, Tucson's home, so I came back to Tucson.
And then so before 98, where would you have been? Well, you said you were in Tucson since 98.
Uh, or since '89, mostly. There were
89.
a couple of years in the mid '80s, sorry, mid '90s, that I lived back up in the Phoenix area, which is where I grew up. And my my friends Itchman and Remo, who are on the chat here, will tell you that was kind of a turbulent time. But I was glad to be back in Tucson after that little hiatus. So.
So is Tucson like? So I actually, I mean, I know more about Phoenix probably just from well, one Micah story, but then also I don't even
Yeah.
know why. But so is Tucson smaller and less sprawling? Because it seems even from your videos that you're riding right up into the mountains and out into the desert, whereas I know Phoenix, the suburbs kind of go on forever, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a smaller city than Phoenix. It's a lot more sprawling than it used to be, much more than when I first moved here. Um, we actually have suburbs now, which was not true 30 years ago. Um, so some of what you've seen um, is kind of an illusion. So there was the video that I did most recently where Heather and I were riding through that bike park. That's actually right in the middle of town.
Oh,
It's actually an area that we discovered years ago. It was just a big vacant lot, and we started calling it the dirt. And we would ride our bikes there. We'd go on a Saturday. Let's go ride the dirt, and it was just a big lot full of desert and a couple of little bike trails. And not too long ago, there's a local group called Sonoran Desert Mountain Bicyclists (SDMB), and they started working with the city of Tucson to turn that into an actual bike park. So that's what it is now, and those are the trails that you see in that video. So and it's I mean it's super cool. It's a great organization. Um, oh yeah, I can see now you're looking at my Instagram. This is
Yeah.
we have a great system of trails called the Loop. It's the Chuck Huckleberry Loop. It basically circumnavigates like most of the main city of Tucson, and then it has a bunch of little spurs, and it almost all of them follow rivers or washes around the city, and it's just it's a cool thing. Like I used the Loop a couple of years ago. I rode for the very first time the Tour de Tucson, and the full race is 100 plus miles. I think that year was 102 miles. They change the route slightly every year. But I did most of my training just on the Loop, which is this network of paths that circumnavigate the city. So it's a pretty cool place.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that they had something like that. Kind of, they're building that out, and I was in Louisville, Kentucky, and they're working on like making a trail that will circumnavigate the whole city because it is. They had parts. We went and rode a couple of different parts, but not done. But that is like, yeah, a great concept, right? So
Yeah. It is. It's pretty cool.
I have not been checking in with the chat. I see Broadford's in
So
here.
I just saw Pudgy's last comment.
Yeah, there we go. So with the park you were
If only, man, if only.
with the park you were talking about, so it was somewhere you guys were already riding, and then so other people were riding, and then they actually turned it into a park because of that, kind of.
I think so, yeah. Like, I honestly don't know the full story there. Somebody else apparently discovered it and got involved with SDMB, the group. They actually are responsible for a lot of recent in the past 10 years, development of mostly mountain bike trails in and around the Tucson area. There's an area called Sweetwater. I haven't done any videos of Sweetwater yet. And it used to be just this little set of old, like mostly double track trails that had been retired and sectioned off from vehicle use, and people used to walk their dogs there, as did we. And then one day we were hiking there, and there was a little single track, and we thought, that looks like it might be fun to ride bikes on. And then, like before long, there's an entire network of mountain bike trails that was developed by this group, with in cooperation with, in this case, the county, I believe, and it's now all a multi-use system. So it's hikers, it's equestrians, it's mountain cyclists, and it's a cool area because in a lot of places you hear about conflicts when those different users of multi-use trails come together, but that's largely not what happens there. People stop. They almost everybody is like ready to yield the way to what's coming, even though there is an established hierarchy. Bikes yield to cyclists and equestrians, and hikers should yield to horses, but there it's all like it's just always super friendly, and you're as like as not to like stop and have a conversation with the other folks on the trail, which is just, and I know that doesn't exist everywhere. I hear horror stories about California and Colorado where there's just kind of like fisticuffs almost, and that doesn't usually happen here. I've had the odd run in there. I was doing a lot of trail running a few years ago, and encountered one time like some really rude mountain bicyclists, and I was just like, yeah, you guys aren't even worth my time. And I know it going both ways, but on the same network of trails, also once I was doing some trail running, and all the mountain cyclists who came by, like they all fist bumped at me as I went by, like, so It's all good. It's mostly good.
So I'll throw on your videos as the background as the background as we're chatting. So I'll start with the 100 acres, and I might need
Cool.
to resize it and adjust it. Probably just turn the volume off so we can still chat. But yeah, I think I got that looking good. You'll see it in a second, obviously. But this is the one where you
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
ride the bike path to get out of the city for a minute. It looks like, right? So this is probably part of the loop that
Yeah.
circumnavigates the city, I would think.
Yeah, that's actually one of the little inner spurs. And that particular section is called the Aviation Bike Path, and it follows a section of what's called Aviation Highway, which is a little teeny tiny little like highway sort of that goes right through the middle of town. And yeah, for us, it's I don't know, three less than a mile from our house to get onto this path, and then we can ride straight to this little park. We used to take the same way to go to a brew pub that used to be in an old industrial neighborhood that looked very much at home with Tim Fitzwater industrial gravel.
Yeah.
But but unfortunately, that place closed. That was called Nimbus Brewery, and it's gone now. But we have a lot of other breweries. So yeah, this little trail is like just on this little weird flat section of desert that's undeveloped right in the middle of the city.
Is the city surrounded on all sides by the mountains, or is that just like one side of like there's like a range on one side?
Yeah, it's essentially bounded on all four sides, although to the south, the Santa Rita Mountains are pretty far. Like it's a 45-minute drive to get to the Santa Rita Mountains. And the pictures that Rusty was posting of his not the spirit world. What's that loop called?
Fool's Loop. Oh no, Rusty was doing a different one. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
not the Fool's Loop.
yeah. That was Micah. Right.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, but that goes like around the Santa Rita Mountains and the towns of like Sonoita and Patagonia, Arizona, and a couple other places. That's all like near the Santa Ritas, and it's a bit of a drive. Yeah, a little bit of a drive to get there. Like I said, 45 minutes. But Tucson also has like immediately bounded on the north the Santa Catalina Mountains, and the city limits like go right up against Forest Service land up there. And the same is true on the east side. We have the Rincon Mountains, which is primarily administered by National Park Service, and then on the west side we have the Tucson Mountains, which are I think one of the largest, or maybe the largest, like municipal parks in the United States.
Oh wow.
Which is also bounded for a little bit further west by Saguaro National Monument, or sorry, Saguaro National Park West, which are some of the areas that you would have seen in the video I posted a few weeks ago, To the Roscrouch We Must Go. So that goes through Tucson Mountain Park, basically.
So this was something I like haven't been watching your videos and some of the comments I've left and we've chatted about that I was kind of interested in. So, and we were talking about this on one of I think the group ride we just did the other day, me and my friend. So, is summer kind of like our winter, so in the summer you guys aren't gonna go out like what we're watching right here during the day, right? So,
Yeah, not as often, and it depends. Like there are days that are worse than others. Well, like we'll have like a run of 110-degree weather, and like everybody's just cowering from the sun all day long on those days. But it's not all summer long. Last summer was really hot. We had, oh man, basically 3 months of 100+ weather. I can't remember the exact number of days, but it was a record, even for Southern Arizona. And so it was just endlessly hot, and it was it was no fun. It was really no fun. But it's also kind of true that compared to what a lot of people call summer, our summer kind of does last from like May to October most years,
Mid October.
with a few little breaks. We have the monsoons, like everybody looks forward to the monsoons, and they usually break anywhere from very late June or early July to mid July, and they usually last through the end of August or even mid September. And so we'll just have these bursts of rainstorms that come in, and you get this high pressure that builds and builds and builds, and everybody gets cranky as fuck. and then and then boom, like this storm clouds come and they break, and you have this massive downpour that lasts a half an hour, and everybody feels this huge sense of relief. And and people go outside, like you'll see people literally go into the streets to just enjoy the rain.
Huh.
And and people who aren't from here, the first time, their first summer that they experience the monsoons, are like, wow, these people are crazy. But then, like, the next year, like, they're out there with everybody else going like, this is great.
That's funny. Our one friend Mike moved to L.A. and like the pictures of him riding are awesome. But he was saying like how if it drizzles in L.A. is when he goes out, because the weather's always so perfect. If there's like any slight discomfort, people just completely stay indoors. And he's like, I could go like in one of the most populous places in the world and like have like all this stuff to myself. So it's kind of, like the total 180 from that, huh? The other thing I was saying here too, we get the hot, miserable, humid weather, but we have so much shade and then, a breeze when you're riding your bike, but it looks like there's nowhere to hide out here either. Right. So
yeah, it's true. I mean, here, like in the desert, not as much true up in the mountains, and we do have like real mountains. Even, the Santa Catalinas and the Santa Ritas, right outside of Tucson, are at 8,000 feet plus, up to 11,000 feet.
Oh, wow.
With pine trees, and it's alpine, and there's actually a small little ski run on the top of the Catalinas. But yes, down in the desert, there's not a lot of shade outside of some of the established city parks where there are big Aleppo pines and some other big trees. So it's just warm, and yeah, I think like what you said earlier, that's a good analogy comparing our summer to Midwestern winters. It's a pretty good flip flop of kind of what people do. There are a lot of elite athletes who do heat training in the midst of summer, and they'll go run or bike in 100+ degree weather. And I know that there's a physiological adaptation that happens with that actually causes the body to deliver more. It delivers more blood to cool faster, but the side effect of that is that it also delivers more oxygen more quickly. And so for like elite ultra runners and racers and even cyclists, I know they actively pursue that kind of training for performance, but I'm not one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like high altitude training in a way, I guess. Then, right?
Yeah, it's definitely similar. Yeah.
JMZ said in Buffalo they're already getting snow. We're supposed to get some tomorrow night, unfortunately. So
yeah, man,
we're not out of the woods till the second weekend. Our frost date is like May 11th or something like that. So, but in general, we've had 80 already, which is crazy. We've had like 10 or 11 days, which have been absolutely beautiful, but our springs are totally random. It could rain for 2 months straight. It could be cold. It could be snowy. It could be warm. That's the thing with Ohio. There's no consistency. So,
yeah. So my girlfriend is from Colorado Springs, and apparently they're supposed to get like 4 inches of snow this weekend. So,
yeah.
Tucson's not getting that.
No,
we do get the odd snow.
Yeah. Oh, really? Like in the winter, you will once in a while get a little bit.
Yeah, in fact, and not even necessarily only winter. This is, I don't know, almost 20 years ago. Itchman in the chat here will remember this because I was at his house on Easter Sunday in about 2002 or so. It started snowing, and that was in April that
Wow.
year. And no, now it didn't stick, right?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't. Uh, but yeah, it snowed like great big fluffy flakes. It was really beautiful. It was amazing.
Huh. See, I'm over. We were thinking of starting our group ride back up because most of us are at least a few weeks in on one shot of the vaccination, and we'll just stay outside. We won't. We usually ride to a bar, get food and drinks. We would just do something like bring our drinks. And but tomorrow the low is like 30 or 29, and I'm like, we've waited this long. I'm over winter at this point, where I'm like, I'll just hold off a day or two on riding because the weekend is back to like 60 or something, which is about perfect for riding,
Right.
you know. So
Yeah. 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 Here through the summer, like I've seen you and a few other people who are actively riding through the winter, and I tried to do that last summer. To be honest, I sucked at that, but but the previous 2 summers, I was pretty but good about getting out and riding through the summer. Usually early morning,
yeah, I was gonna ask.
and doing long rides on.
So morning and evening, like, do you get like what is like? Does it drop in the morning and the evening? Like, cause yeah,
Yeah, so let's in June, July when it's the hottest, if I can get out of the house by like 7, I can probably get in a good 2, maybe even 3 hour ride
oh,
before it hits 100.
before
So
it's
it'll
100,
be.
yeah,
I know that sounds
yeah,
ridiculous, but yeah, it'll be. It might even be in the 70s when I start,
oh,
and then it'll creep up over the day. But by like at that time of year, by 11, it's time to be inside. And I'm a redhead, so I'm super susceptible to like sunburn and whatnot. So I'm one of those guys who's like ridiculously fully covered. I actually wear sun sleeves and gloves all year long now. Now that I'm pushing being old man. I'm going to turn 50 this year.
oh.
Uh, and uh, and I'll have like a bandana under my helmet, and all of that stuff. So
We should
um,
not to cut you off. I missed where you were chatting with Large Marge about actually meeting Lale Wilcox, or
oh yeah, I mean I didn't even meet her. I
yeah,
just like it was at I think if I remember right, the event actually was. I think I posted it in the Discord a number of weeks back, but Ronnie Romance
yeah,
did that film California, Golden California or California Dreaming or something like that. And there's a downtown, there's a bike shop called Transit Bikes, and right next door to it is an outdoor pub called Westbound.
mm-hmm.
And they joined forces to show this film, and Benedict, aka Ronnie Romance, was there, and his girlfriend, good old Nam
Yeah.
from Instagram, and they showed this film, and then one of the people who was there was like Lale Wilcox, and I just was like, oh hey,
Yeah.
one of those. Um, so they're all of those kind of Instagram heroes that hang out in Tucson at least some winters. It's kind of fun to see them. But I had a very brief conversation with Benedict and Nam, so that's my claim to fame.
Yeah. Dylan was talking about, back to your point about, he said he's started doing long sleeves and a buff in the sun. When I worked on a farm,
Yeah,
we would get like those old urban cowboy shirts from like the thrift store, like the snap button, like synthetic,
yeah,
and they're great. Like we always, one, if you're going to be in a cornfield, you don't want your arms rubbing in 90-degree heat on stuff over and over again. But I mean, there's a reason. Well, I mean, if you look at like the Middle East, they're not wearing shorts and t-shirts out there in the Middle East, right? They're covered in loose, flowy white stuff. That doesn't work for bike riding or farming for me, anyways. But yeah, long sleeves. People used to always like give me shit for it. I still bring those on bike tours. Like when we tour in July, I wear like snap shirts with like long sleeves, and I'm like, they dry fast. They keep the sun off
yeah,
you. So yeah, caps.
yeah. All that stuff's all that stuff works, you know. And it's funny, like I a few years ago realized that there like cowboys dressed that way for a reason,
Yeah.
you know, like it's not just the movies, and it looks kind of either cool or just weird depending on like kind of what your background was. I think variously to me it looked either one or the other, but it actually was extremely functional. And yeah, I've got a number of like thrift store cowboy shirts. I've mostly taken to wearing sun sleeves that you get at REI or wherever. They're very effective, and then almost always either a buff or a bandana, and sometimes even both. And sometimes like the buff like pulled up over my head like a babushka. So
Yeah, we used to soak when I started wearing bandanas because when I was corn farm, we'd soak them in water and tie them around our neck, and it didn't stay. They didn't stay wet that long,
yeah,
but it was like that just kept the sun off your neck, but also some coolness as it dripped down your shirt and stuff. And now with spring in Ohio, I've found that like always having them so I have a mask in case I don't remember one is that now we're in bug season, so we get all these like we get these swarms of little bugs. So now as I drop down along the canal, I'm like pulling this up, putting my shades on because if not, you can't breathe. Like
yeah,
so.
yeah. We don't have too many bug problems. Like once in a while, it's pretty episodic. So yeah, but yeah, we have in some places we'll have like the cottonwoods. The cottonwoods will be like blowing their seeds everywhere. So you'll want like something covering your face so you're not breathing in these like little fluffy seeds that are flying everywhere.
Huh.
So
I wouldn't have thought you guys had. We have obviously cottonwood out here too, but the farm I worked at,
okay.
one of the trees we would pack corn under was a cottonwood tree. It was actually cut down as a fence post in the 30s and sprouted, and now it's the big tree we pack corn under when I worked there. But in the spring,
Cool.
it was a nightmare because we always had to sweep everything up nonstop. But I can imagine cycling through a bunch of cottonwood trees. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They around here at least or at least in the desert they grow like in the washes or next to the washes, where they have like deep roots and access to water that's subsurficial. So
Yeah, probably like almost like a willow maybe or something.
yeah, definitely.
Rick wanted to hear, where was that? He said, "Give us your best cactus injury story."
It's funny. I don't have too many cactus injury stories, but I do have a story where it was almost like awful. And it's not a bike story, but years ago, I was with some friends who had horses on the east side of town, and I was riding with them, and they got kind of pretty far ahead of me on the trail because I'm like, I hardly know how to ride horses. And this pony I was on suddenly decided like she was going to catch up. And I was like, okay, little pony, you catch up. And we were like bouncing along. And like there was a sudden quick turn in the trail. And I was like not on top of it. And she turned and I started to go over right where there was this huge patch of cholla cactus. And the really bad cholla, like the ones that Rusty has posted pictures about on the Discord, that the big fluffy ones with the long spikes on them, like that long. Those are terrible. So I just remember like thinking, oh, no. And I just grabbed the saddle and like muscled my way back on top and barely avoided like, probably weeks and weeks of pain. But everyone here does have cactus stories. Like sooner or later you get something in your leg or your finger or whatnot. Oh, I know. Rick is probably talking about, there was another almost terrible story. This was almost 10 years ago when I first had the dog that we have now. And I took him camping. We went on a long 4-wheel. This is also not a bike story, but it's a funny cactus story. I took him camping. We went 4-wheeling way out into the desert with some friends. And I took this dog on a long walk. And then I had to poo. So, when you're way out in the desert, you find a spot behind a rock or a bush, and that's where you do it. So I was there, pants around my knees, dog wandering around right there, and he got into a patch of cholla, and the really bad kind of cholla. And the bad thing with cholla cactus and dogs is they turn and they try to get it out with their teeth, and then it's just all in their mouth. So my poor dog is there. I'm trying to like reach for him, don't get it in your mouth. And there, pants around my knees. Then I realize, oh, if this goes all wrong, this cholla is going to end up in a place far worse than my dog's mouth. And somehow the catastrophe was avoided. and everything was okay. I actually just ended up getting, I don't know, either a comb or a Leatherman or something. I don't quite remember, and like got the cholla out of my dog's leg. But, whew, man, it was terrible. It was a brief period of horror.
Yeah. I actually love cactus and succulents. So I have some here at the studio. Again, when I had a house, I had a ton. I would bring them in every winter, take them back out in the summer. I would divide them and keep them going. I picked up some in Florida when I was visiting my uncle. But the ones to me that are always the worst are the ones with like the real small needles that just there's a million, if you touch them and then you have like a, just the lightest touch and then there's a million little needles there in your hands. But
yeah, those little blockades. Yeah, those are awful too.
77.
I also like, oh yeah, go ahead.
77 I haven't seen in here before. Wanted to say what's up. He was asking for a good jacket for winter touring, which you would be the wrong guy to ask for that, probably.
Probably.
Someone in the chat would probably do better than me because I don't tour in the winter. I get out for a couple hours. I get like 2 hours in the true winter before I'm like done with that. But what is Rick saying? That was Tim? I don't Oh, then yeah, everyone who lives in Arizona has a cactus injury story. Oh. So.
Yeah. There's at least a minor cactus injury story for sure. Oh, Rick says that was TMI.
Oh, TMI. Yeah, my brain rearranged that into my name. Yeah. Fall into a barrel of cactus sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see the video you're playing right now. By the way, this night video. The music on that I've used in 3 of my videos so far. I think I've used music from a band I was in. Going way back. And,
so this was your
Itchman.
Let me see if I can turn it on a little bit.
Yeah. So Itchman is my friend Rob. Our band was drums and 2 guitars, and I played drums, and Rob played one of the guitars, and our friend Rick played one of the guitars. And so this video that's on right now, or at least I know there's a lag. I think it's the one that's still on.
Yeah, it's still was one just of ending now. Yeah.
One of the Negative Spaceman songs and I think that one, we have a bunch of recordings that were just like random practice room recordings that got recorded once and have never been heard again, and that was one of them. So,
oh, really? Oh, no, now I'll have to go back and watch. Yeah. My problem is when I turn the volume on, even if I turn it low on YouTube, it still comes through at full volume in my headphones, so I can't hear you. So I can't play it now.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I did drop the link to your YouTube channel, but that now when I go back and watch it, I'll know that. That's great. How Robin jumped in too.
Yeah, that's fun.
Robin, you guys are probably getting some cold weather now also. So go ahead.
And this video too, the Cruise in the Colonia. This was another like kind of recorded randomly, has never been heard again until now.
Yeah.
There was one that we actually did go to the studio to record, and that was the song "Die Before You Get Home" that was used on the "To the Roskridge We Must Go" video. So
is that the only band you were in?
You already played,
or did you do more?
That was. I was briefly in another band called Les Humanoids, and that was some friends of mine from the university who were all grad students at the time, uh, we did like we played out a few times, and we have one pretty good recording of a show that we played at a pub downtown. And at least I'm gonna try to get one of those recordings into a video one of these days here.
Yeah,
But Negative Spaceman was like my primary band. Itchman Rob moved to Pennsylvania. He's still in Pennsylvania. He's in York, I believe, or near York. And after he moved, our friend Rick and I continued briefly um, in a band we called Mr. Mustard, and mostly we just had like some practice room recordings, and we kind of played out once, but so yeah, it was just fun, you know. I learned to become an adequate drummer. Let's put it that way.
that's how I was as a bass player. My guitar player usually would come up with bass lines that were so good. When he showed me the demo, I'm like, who am I to think I'm going to change this? Like, just show me just teach me how to play what you just played on that demo, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it was fun because these guys were like great musicians. It was so much fun. And you know, and my best friends, truly, even to this day, you know, Rob and I haven't actually seen each other in person for 18 years, but still among my very best friends ever. And I know he's listening to this right now, and
nice.
it's just true. Remo too. Remo and I played. I know Remo and Rick played music together, and occasionally Remo played with us on a few different things, and that was always fun. Remo and I also kind of co-taught. It was really Remo's deal. Remo set this up. We co-taught a skateboarding class at the YMCA like for a couple of years.
Really, that's a thing.
Remo
There's
actually,
skateboarding, like how to alley and stuff.
Yeah,
or?
yeah. Like though, like one of our local YMCA's had like a skate park like put in. It was like with like rails and a couple of bulls, and it was awesome. And and as far as skating goes, like I'm a total poser. Like I learned to skate when I was like 32, you know. So.
Yeah, the kids don't need to know that, right?
Yeah, and we mostly just like kept the kids from like destroying themselves, really, like because they were all way better than me as a skater. Remo actually is an old time skater and could do some pretty cool stuff, but but it was so much fun, man. It was so much fun. Yeah. So.
Well, if I guess it's kind of funny because I skated forever, but I was the one who didn't have any balls for skating. Just like looking at Dylan's that fence he posted. I call it a fence. They're calling it a bank, but just go around. Like I was the one who wasn't going down the 5 steps when all my friends were. I was like the one who was always working on trying to alley over the cardboard box. So if I didn't make it, I didn't kill myself, so,
yeah.
So
yeah.
Part of my identity is skateboarder because I've done it since I was 15, 14, but I was never good at it. And I'm still not extreme, even with my bike. I'm never the one launching off the ramps. I just enjoy it. So.
Oh yeah. Same story for sure. Like I learned to drop into the bowl on the same day that like the 8-year-old did. So,
dropping in is the most terrifying thing there is.
Oh my God.
You just have to commit.
So scary.
So everything in your body is saying, lean this way. And
Yeah. Once you tell your brain that you can do it and you figure it out, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it now. But oh man, it was so frightening.
Yeah, it's all about that slapping that foot down and committing. But I did pull up.
Yeah.
I was also trying to calculate from Discord and what I've seen on your Instagram, your bike situation. Everyone always asks me how many I have. Right up on the screen now, I have the Bridgestone, which I believe is your latest build, right?
Yeah, that's the most recent bike that I built. I actually, that's just about a year old now. I right as COVID was becoming, our current reality last year, I decided I wanted to build a new bike. I love Bridgestones, and I found the frame on eBay for probably too much. It was like $150 or something like that. Which I think now I've still been watching like 90s, 80s and 90s mountain bikes on eBay, and now people are asking like $300 and $400 for a frame, which just blows my mind.
Yeah.
But I got the frame. It was in nice condition, and then I got the rest of the parts mostly on eBay and a few brand new things. I put a brand new Sugino crankset on there, and a Brooks saddle. Got the Ritchie Venture Max handlebars on there with a Crane Creek drop brakes, V brakes. Just a couple of weeks ago, I put some wolf tooth chain ring and cog on the back, and changed up my gear ratio a little bit. It's now at like I think it's right on 2.1. It's my gear ratio, which is just about perfect for a lot of this like flat single track around the Midtown area that we have here. So yeah, a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to build. I really, other than I had a bike shop check out the headset and the bottom bracket when I first bought it, and they lube stuff up, but the rest of the build I did myself, which was not the very first time I built a bike all myself, basically, but the first time recently. And yeah, it was fun. It was I like building stuff, but I'm also like, I'm a klutz with gears. I'm a complete, like, I'll mess up the gears if I try to do them. I'll have the shop do that. So if it's a single speed, I'll do it. It's great. I'll have fun. I'll figure out how to center the chain line and all of that. No problem. If there are gears involved, like, please take care of my gears.
When I first started getting into like trying to build my own bikes, or like even fix up some vintage bikes, they were all friction, so it was all just about the stops, which, you got 2 points, just don't let it go off either side. And then the chain, and then the cable tension is just how fast it shifted. So I got real used to that, and I'm like, okay, I could deal, with this. And then you get into index shifting, and I'm like, I get it real close. You know what I mean? I could get it real close, but then you have the mechanic who does it every day, and it's like, this is better, So
yeah. I try to, like, when I have the chance, I try to, hang out at the shop and watch what they're doing and say, hey, well, okay, why did you do it that way? Or what did you just do? Or whatever it is. And I feel like most shop owners and mechanics are happy to talk you through that and teach you some stuff.
Yeah.
So I try to learn a little bit here and there, and watch, of course, a lot of YouTube. Park Tools has pretty good how-to videos that I enjoy. And so I enjoy getting my hands greasy, but I'm also like, I'm aware of my limitations, often, especially once I get on for a ride after I've done whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I do that soft like pedal around the block, then the harder pedal around the block, then the bike shop from here, that Large Marge and Otis, who's on sometimes, is about 3 miles. And so then I'm like, well, I'll start riding towards the bike shop, because then once I hit the halfway point, something goes wrong, I go there. Before there, I come home. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
I pulled up. I think is this your All City Macho Man then?
Oh yeah, that is. Yep. So that is at the very end of the paved road, basically, on the overnight bikepacking trip we did not too long ago. And it's at the entrance of Ironwood Forest, and it gets us to a camp spot that Itchman and Remo in the chat will know as, like, variously either the petroglyphs or the pyramid. And we get to a spot where there's like this huge pile of boulders, like, out in the desert. Right, it's next to a very small mountain range, but it's a geological feature all of its own. and there's these big volcanic rocks that are full of petroglyphs. And back in the in the 90s, when I think we all first became aware of it, we would drive out in Rob's like 54 Chevy pickup truck through the desert late on a summer evening, and then we would just hang out and sleep on the rocks. And now it's a little more well known. People actually go out and visit it. It's actually cordoned off. You can no longer drive right to where the petroglyphs are like we used to do, which is for the better. I think people were vandalizing it and stealing petroglyphs from the site, and now you actually have to walk about a quarter or half a mile to get to that actual spot. But you can ride your bike right to like a perfect camping spot. It's out there. There are not that many people that show up. If you get there in the afternoon, you probably won't see anybody at all. And but there's no water, so you've either got to carry a ton of water, or have somebody drive a swag wagon out there, which is fun too, because you get to go on an awesome bike ride, and then your friends show up with beer.
Yeah.
So that's pretty great.
Yeah, I think they were talking about that in the chat. They were saying, "What? How did those rocks get there? How did the boulders get there?"
It's such a weird feature. Like, it looks like somebody like picked up a bunch of boulders and like dropped them down into kind of a pyramid shape. Like, and I've never talked to a geologist to understand why they like how did that happen. And I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for that, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, some ancient glacier or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
So
it's a pretty cool spot, though.
with your Macho Man, is that a like a stock build, or is that something you had built up in a way that was?
It's mostly stock. I put a Brooks B17 special saddle on there. I swapped out the handlebars. Originally, I went with the Salsa cow chippers, and then more recently, I put on the Ritchie Venture Max, just because they're just a little wider and they've got a little more flair, and they're just, to me, like very, very comfortable. But the rest is stock. Well, the pedals, I guess, are Crank Brothers double. What do they call them? Double shots.
Yeah.
So flats on one side and clip in on the other. But yeah, otherwise pretty much stock. Those water bottles on the front fork, they're using like the what have I got on there? The Blackburn. It's not the anything cage. It's something kind of like that though. It's the Blackburn version of the Salsa anything cage. It's actually like an aluminum cage that are bolted into the fender mount at the bottom of the fork, and then just using some O-rings, some like hose clamps on the top part to secure it to the fork. So I think as seen right there, I've got 4 liters of water, actually a little bit more than 4 liters of water. I've ridden out there with as much as 8.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I think the very first time we rode out there, I was actually on a different bike on my other old Bridgestone, not the one that we looked at.
Like the bluish? There's a bluish
The
one?
blue one, yeah. The bluish one, yeah. On a
find
previous
that,
build of that bike, I carried I carried 8 liters of water and 4 cans of Guinness Pub Stout. So
Yeah, all your water carrying really limits your beer carrying abilities, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah. On that particular trip, my friend brought out like a bag of wine. Like, she took the bag out of a box of wine, and she had an extra cycle, so she was able to carry like a lot of weight without too much extra trouble. So
I think I have your current build of the other Bridgestone up here now. This is the XO4, right?
Oh, this is actually yet a different Bridgestone.
Oh wait, this is the one you built up for your dad, or no?
Yeah, so this one, my girlfriend Heather actually bought. So in non-COVID times, Tucson has like a biannual, or is it semi-annual? Semi-annual bike swap, and it's put on by GABA. What is it? Greater Arizona Bicycle Association, and they have a bicycle swap meet on Fourth Avenue downtown, and we usually go down if like at least just to hang out because it's kind of a cool thing. And this bike, somebody was selling this bike for $150, and Heather bought it, and she used it for a lot of years, and uh, we got her a different bike later on, and most recently we gave this to my dad because he was getting into cycling, and my dad, oh man, my dad showed up. He and his girlfriend had gone for a loop, a ride on the loop around Tucson, and they stopped by to say hello. And the bike he had was this weird mutant machine that was like a youth-sized like Walmart mountain bike frame with this like super tall stem and a super tall seat post that he had like rigged out of spare parts. And I was just like, oh, Dad, you need something way more comfortable than that. So we had loaned this bike to our friend, and she wasn't using it anymore. And so we got this back, and I tuned it up and gave it to him. So
Oh, nice.
I
Yeah.
think he's pretty. I think he's happy with it.
Yeah. A
Yeah,
little.
Jay Dandy. It's totally a dad bike.
My dad was always the guy who said, "Yeah, you put in the tire pressure that's printed right on the side of the bike, right?" So,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
so I think this is your Macho Man, and then is that so? Does Heather have the Surly? Or is this one of your friends? Well, it'll come up here in a second for you, but
So yeah, so Heather has a Surly cross check that I got for her a, a year and a half ago or so. But I also have a Surly cross check that I built. Mine was a 2011 frame that I got years ago, and it's been through many iterations of builds, and almost always single speed. And right now I've got the On One Midge. It's like an early dirt drop with big flares, and set up as a single speed with 700 by 40, I think, Panaracer Kings, Gravel Kings. But yeah, in the picture I see now on here, that's Heather's cross check, loaded up. That was like a practice ride before the previous bike packing trip. We got her bike set up and mine just to make sure that we were happy carrying the weight.
that's always I always recommend that to people. It's like when we're gonna do a Howdy area or anything longer. It's like we always do an overnighter or something with that setup, or even like a ride towards the bike shop. For me, it might be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, oh, there's the Macho Man. Another picture of the Macho Man loaded up. Oh, you got a Tan Brooks.
Yeah, yeah,
I did see.
yeah.
Which one's the
So
singles? Was the Surly? You have a Surly. One of them set up as a single speed too, right?
yeah, my Surly set up as a single speed, and the white Bridgestone is a single
Okay.
speed.
Yeah, I could probably find those. Oh wait, there. Oh no, that's not when it's single speed.
That's the,
Oh, here's the other. I think here's your Bridgestone we were talking about, not the one you built up with the All City saddle on it. Is that
I
the?
think so. Oh, yes, yeah, it did. I did have the All City briefly on it. Yeah, that's actually on Heather's cross check right now. She was not happy with how her saddle feels, so we're trying to figure out a better saddle situation for her. So
That's what I have on my look right now, but I haven't ridden it yet since it's not fully built up. I'm in no
Yeah,
hurry on
yeah.
the carbon race bike, you know. So vintage carbon.
Right, yeah.
JMZ was asking how many you have.
So I have too many bikes. That's the answer.
That's my
No, I have N+1. It's the perfect
yeah.
amount. No, I I have I think I have like seven working bikes and a couple of old frames.
That's some.
And Heather has three bikes, although she would claim to have maybe two, but one was one I gave her that we're actually trying to find a good home for. So
That's when people ask me, I'm like, well, what do you mean by bikes? Because, you know, like rideable. Like,
yeah,
you know.
right, yeah. Yeah. I believe I have seven rideable bikes at the moment. So three of them are mountain bikes, and the others are various flavors of town and gravel bikes.
I see Traveling Through popped in. He has to let us know where he's at tonight.
Oh
He
yeah,
said hello because what he was in. We were talking on Thursday, wasn't he down in St. Louis? Oh, then it looks like Heather popped in here too. So,
yeah. There she is, the HM. Yep, that's Heather. She loves her Surly.
and then Rick was saying get her Brooks. That's Erin, my girlfriend. She moved around on saddles, tried a number of different ones. She got the Brooks saddle with the cutout, and that's the one that's made her the most comfortable. But that means nothing.
Cool.
Everyone's so unique and different. I mean, you just really got to try. If you have a good bike shop that lets you hop on at a couple different samples, you know. But I
Yeah,
I love B17s even before they're broken in, but that's not.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Otis from Dirty River, who
I've got B17s. Sorry, yeah, I've got B17s or C17s on all of my bikes at this point. So
yeah, Otis hated the one. He said it like was hurting him, and then he gave it to me. I liked it right away, and then when it broke in, it just even became even more perfect. So, yeah.
nice, nice. Yeah.
Traveling Through says he's chilling. So I liked his last video when he finally had like a proper fire instead of just sleeping over the guardrail like he was saying. So
Nice.
everyone says watch out for Rick.
Obviously.
Yeah. I'll scroll. Oh, by the way, for this is good information for everyone because I didn't know it, and it's working out like for this stream too. I think I have your Surly. Oh, you have to let me know. It's definitely a single speed. I think it's a Surly, but in the search bar in the corner, you could search like with parameters. So I was able to just search everything you've posted, but it hasn't.
Yeah, that's cool.
You could also search if someone's been, you know, anytime you've used the @ symbol towards someone. But this is a good way for the live streams for me to pull up like all the different stuff like the different bike photos. But yeah, in case anyone's ever going back to try and find something in the Discord, it'll work.
Yeah, I can see it now on the stream. That's my single speed Surly. So
That's a cross check.
that's the cross check. Yeah.
That looks like a pretty cool setup.
Yeah, that, for sure.
Make that a little bigger. Well, I've got so many browser windows open, it's bugging. Oh yeah, we could get. Is that still how you have it set up now?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a fun bike. That's probably of my current bikes, that might be the bike I've had the longest at this point. So
Those are great. I mean, those are bikes who were ahead of their time in a way. You know, cross checks. They were.
yeah, yeah, they really were like, and like so many people I know, especially like bike shop people, they all have a story like, oh, I used to have a cross check. I really regret that I sold that, you know. So I mean, I don't ride that one quite as often as I used to, but I just because of that, like I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, the
It's such a good
emotional.
bike. It's so much fun.
I
Yeah, and it's a good pub bike too, right? I
Yeah.
mean, just yeah, it's great.
it's weird how I still have that. There's some bikes that have that emotional attachment, and other ones don't. You know, and like some develop it quicker, and other ones it doesn't really ever happen with it. At least that's how I am. Like, my Peugeot, it's like,
Yeah,
that's a bike
yeah.
I'm never selling. And I ride it on my birthday and a couple other times during the summer. But it's like, if I put 100 or
Yeah.
200 miles a year on it now, that would be probably a lot. But it's got 4,000 or 5,000 miles on it, So,
Yeah. I think at the moment I feel that way about this cross check. I feel and the Macho Man and the I think I used to kind of feel that way about the blue Bridgestone, but I think my feelings for that bike have shifted, and I'd be willing to find a good home for it. The white Bridgestone, since I built it up like from scratch, I'm very attached to that bike.
it's funny what you're saying with the bike shop owner, because I posted that one video of my friend Brad from Columbus, and he was on one of the streams, but it was the Otis at Dirty River who sold it to him, and it was like, what was that, a 2012, which I didn't even know they made them that long ago. I'm like, that's why I was saying ahead of their time, and it was that cool army green color too, but
yeah, those are cool. Yeah, and my frame is from 2011, so they've been around at least a few years before that.
Oh, I've got a cool sunset shot that you said was out at Sentinel Peak in Tucson, and that's your Macho Man, but just a really cool photo with the mountains in the background.
Yeah.
The city below.
Yeah. That's a cool spot. Sentinel Peak, also known as A Mountain. It overlooks downtown. It's from my house. It's about a 14-mile round trip ride. And mostly flat except for the I don't know, mile and a half up the peak. So yeah, it's fun.
Traveling through.
And those are the Catalina Mountains.
Traveling through said he's
Catalina Mountains in the background.
Chilling in Columbia, Missouri. So
Oh, nice.
he had flurries this morning, so that's probably the weather that's coming our way. So
Oh yeah. Hey Tim, I don't mean to interrupt, but I think I'm in need of a pedal break.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll play the members video. Let's also. It says it's 10:17, so originally it was cutting me off after an hour. Let's play it and see if we can come back and keep chatting if you want to.
Yeah, right on. I'm good for it.
Cool. All right.
Right. Be right back.
So I'm gonna go to the members video, and by the way, Mike is a new member. I actually made a new video that you guys will be less mad at, but I ran out of time of trying to get this setup going, so I didn't get that posted up here. So here's the video that you guys are not that crazy about, but we'll fix it eventually. So we are going to take a quick break here. Let's first thank the members, though. They really do help make this channel better in every way. If you want to add your name to this list, there is a link in the chat right now and also below this video. It is really appreciated. Like I said, it will help make the channel better in every way, but you also do get some special perks. There are extra videos, more content, discount on swag, and a few other things. Check out the link if you're interested. We do appreciate any support here, though, so if you're just tuning in to watch for a little while, hit the like button. They say it helps out. But yeah, any kind of support, whether you've ever, bought a piece of swag, done a super chat, but even just watching is good enough. I appreciate it. I really have fun doing this, so I'm glad we have a little community here. Also, take this chance again to say join us in the Discord. That's become a really cool thing, too. We'll be back in about a minute, but one more time, thanks to the members. All right, what's up? I think I've got this going back. Yeah. So
All right.
Ramo had to take off.
Ah,
Oh, there we go. Yep. It's better than that vile French song. So I don't know if you saw that in the Discord, but my last video, it turns out that the French song that I thought was kind of cute, someone commented that the lyrics were like the stupidest thing ever. The song is actually called
I, s-
the turd. That's the translation.
I,
So.
s- I saw that. That's so funny. I spent a little time in France and in French speaking Ivory Coast, West Africa, and
Oh.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
Yeah.
So there's some slang happening there that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, my girlfriend speaks not fluent French, but I'd say transactional French. She could get by pretty well.
Yeah,
I could order at a
yeah,
bakery and I could say I don't speak French, or I could say, excuse me, and all that kind of very basic,
yeah.
you know. And I've tried to listening to French music is one of the things that I thought would help my French, but apparently not that well. 'Cause
Yeah, yeah.
the guy said
What?
one of the lines is like, I feel like a cyst on Jesus's butt. So it's like,
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I know. I did not pick up on that at all. And I used to be pretty conversational, although I'm so rusty now. It's been years and years since I've really had the chance to speak any foreign languages. So
did you try and learn it before you went to Ivory Coast, or did you just pick it up as you were there?
yeah. So I took a year of French in high school and another year or so in college. And a friend of mine from high school lived in Paris in the early '90s, and a couple of times I went and visited for a few weeks at a time. Got picked up a little there, but it wasn't until I went to Ivory Coast with Peace Corps that I really kind of felt like I speak French. And But yeah, I'm very rusty now, like very, very.
Yeah, I've used Duolingo a bit, and then, like I said, visited France. I went for Paris-Roubaix and stuff like that, but
Nice. Yeah.
it's not enough to learn it. Like I said, I went into one really cool vintage bike shop. It was all vintage bikes and coffee. My girlfriend got a coffee. I tried to talk to the guy, and he ran off this long thing, and I'm trying to process. And then he just looks at me and he goes, English? And I was like, English. And he was like, it's cool. I'm from Australia. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then we
Yeah.
nerded out for a
That
half an
is
hour about bikes. But yeah.
nice. Yeah. 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 That's a funny thing about France and Paris, especially. It's so metropolitan. You
Yeah.
just don't know where anybody's really from. Yeah. All of my closest friends while I was in Paris were from Czech Republic and Slovakia, and there was a Senegalese guy and a Moroccan guy, and my friend who is like me from Mesa, Arizona. So
It's like New York City. I've always said that too. You ask everyone you meet in New York, where are you from? And they say New York, and you're like, where are you from? And they're like, you know, Akron, Ohio. Like it doesn't.
yeah, right. Yeah.
But it could also be anywhere in the world. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Oh, did you see
Okay.
Pudgy's latest comment?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. Oh man.
Man, you put stuff in a neat list, you never realize how much you're going to offend somebody. Is that so I have
That's too funny.
I think both the Surleys sitting there, right? In the photo I have up right now, I think.
Yeah, that's both. Yeah, yep, side by side, twin Surleys. Yeah, well, not twin.
Yeah.
If you don't know Surleys or crosschecks, you might not even guess they were the same bike.
Me and Large Marge were joking about, and we might have been talking about it when he was on the one time, but how we've gotten so good at picking out tire treads, even if you can't see the tire, if there's something. And this takes me back to something Rick asked that I wanted to bring up, but I missed. How much do you have to worry about deep unrideable sand? It looks like a lot of it's hard packed enough that you're able to ride like from your videos, but is there sections where it's like what some would picture like Egyptian Sahara desert where you can't pedal through
Oh
or
yeah. There's nothing like that exactly in Tucson. In parts of Arizona, there are sand dunes that look like that scene in Star Wars or Lawrence of Arabia, or but nothing in Tucson. But in the in the Ross to the Ross Bridge We Must Go video, there's a scene where we stopped and the music stops, and Heather's like, "Come on, Surly, this is what you're made for," or
oh
something
yeah.
like that. And and immediately everybody's like sliding around in the sand, and that sand was a good like 8-9 inches deep, and it's hard to ride through. And I didn't show a lot of it. I think I showed a clip or two of where we're actually pushing our bikes because I think if you had 27.5 plus or 29 plus mountain bike tires, you could ride through that stuff. Maybe even 2.2, 2.3 mountain bike tires, you could ride through that stuff if you're just like right on top of it and figuring out where your bike wants to go. But but anything smaller than that, I think I'm riding 40s in this picture, which was what I was riding in that video. Heather's riding 40s. Our friend Scott was riding like 26-inch slicks in like, I don't know, 1.9 or something like that. So he was sliding around. So it just kind of depends, So yeah, no Lawrence of Arabia sands
No, yeah.
right around here, but
'Cause it's more like almost like rocky. Like it's sand kind of sitting on rocks mostly. Is that would be?
it's it's like it's down in the washes really, so that where you have a lot of sandy sediment that's washed across like either floodplains or an actual wash, like in 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 some of the Fool's Loop videos I've seen from various folks, like you'll see them crossing a wash, and it's foot deep, like fine gravel or sand that's almost unrideable if you don't have flat tires.
So your one friend was saying to describe what a wash is, and I'm assuming
Oh
that it
yeah,
means something that becomes a stream during the monsoon season, but is not the rest of the year.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much exactly right. So most of the time, it's a winding strip of sand, basically, and maybe gravel, and maybe even boulders, like small boulders, or actually in some cases very large boulders. Um, uh, but generally speaking, probably has no water, or maybe just a very small amount of water, depending on the time of year. But once in a while, it can become a torrent, like a flood that will wash. A friend of mine, there was a big rain event in 1993, and he was in a wash, and he lost his pickup truck to
Really?
the water. Like the water took his pickup truck like away, gone forever. So yeah, that's a wash.
Yeah. Well, this would.
Most of the time,
Oh, go ahead.
most of the time, like it's nice soft sand that you can sleep in, and it's beautiful, and you have a nice view of the stars. But yeah, then you have a rainstorm, sometimes many miles away, and yeah, it'll take your pickup truck.
Huh. So this would be a relatable analogy to anyone who's from my area. I know Lanky, if he's still here, and Large Marge. But the farm I worked at has Furnace Run going through it, which always has water in it, but it's like clear and usually like maybe a half foot deep. But this is down in the Cuyahoga Valley, and if it rains, a lot of other streams feed into this one. And so if you guys know the Everett Road covered bridge, like it looks like it's nowhere near the water. But in a spring, like if we get like a lot of heavy rain and we get a flood in the valley, like that bridge has actually been washed away. And it's like probably a
Uh,
kind of an analogy, but not going from nothing to something, going from almost nothing
Yeah.
to a raging, yeah, yeah, white water. People like will actually go out and like grab inner tubes and stuff. Or this is more old timer, but there's a couple people who still live down there who will like grab their inner tubes if there's like a bunch of rain one night because it'll be so delayed because it'll be sunny again by the time it's like almost the danger and torrent of water, So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We can even have that kind of thing happen in town, like because there's so because these kind of flood events are somewhat infrequent, but you'll have these once in a while, a big monsoon right in town, and there's video of people's like garbage bins like floating down the street. And in one of these, a friend of mine who's from Wisconsin, who's a kayaker and a canoer, like she went canoeing like down a city street, just in the middle of a monsoon. And it's just it's such an awesome photograph of like her canoe in this river, but then like you see houses on either side. So,
so do you guys have basements or no basements there? Like,
very few. There are people who have basements. My neighbors, in fact, have a basement. But our house,
The lanky cyclist
which was
super chatted
designed by
$2.99.
the same architect,
It's
and in
not
fact,
a
on
demon.
our street,
It's a
almost
cyst on the butt of Jesus.
almost all or all of the streets on our street were designed by the same architect. But as far as I know, only our neighbors right next door have a basement, and that was the house that he designed for himself. And I actually don't know where he was from. I would guess he was from
the Midwest.
the Midwest, most likely. Yeah.
So Lanky just super chatted. It's not a tumor. It's a cyst on the butt of Jesus. So, well, you were telling that story. The audio went over. So.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, Pudgy also
too
said,
funny.
a place is dry when they call a storm a rain event. So,
Yeah, right. Totally.
yeah, because I was wondering with that kind of, if it's when it rains, it's going to flood. You wouldn't build basements. I looked at a house that
Yeah.
I wanted to buy in the Cuyahoga Valley, and the lady was like, I was like, oh, I see the basement's all stone, but it looks like it's like right close to the river. Like, she's like, you can't think of this like a traditional home. Like in the spring, it's kind of filled with water down there. And I'm like, oh, like, well, that's not how I think of using a basement. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
but here, like,
Yeah. No, we don't have many basements. I did once years ago as a I was actually for that summer I was a college dropout, and I lived in a basement that I rented for like $1 a month from the people who were living in the house, and my $1 a month got me like a shower a day. So.
yeah, it's interesting here. I think I have since it's two buildings combined, which I've kind of explained, like one side has a sump pump to keep the basement dry, but the other one doesn't, and I've never had an issue. But yeah, it is weird. It's something we don't really think about. Ohio is the topography changes, but up here in Akron and Cleveland, everybody has a basement. It's so much usable space. Like that's where the whole bike workshop is. And then on the other side, that's where all the extra photography, and I have a wood shop. And so I assume you guys have more like outbuildings, garages or something like that, or sheds if you need them.
Yeah, generally speaking, yeah. Above ground stuff. Yeah, I remember as a kid, we my aunt and uncle lived in Montana, and so when I was in the 6th grade, my mom moved my sister and I to Montana for really just one winter. We spent one winter in Montana, but we were so excited because we had a basement. Like, it was the coolest thing ever. We had a basement, and our dog hated the basement,
Oh, right.
and my mom hated Montana winter, so we moved back to Arizona.
Yeah, here it's usually like the kids' room. When you're growing, like a middle class family in the suburbs, it's like when the kids are growing up, there's the rec room or whatever they call it, and that's where like the kids play with their Legos and whatever. And then as like the family matures, they build it into like a second family room, and then they throw some carpet down and put a nice TV in. But yeah, basements are the whole cultural thing around here. So yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, ours was one of those scary basements that you don't want to go in at night when the light is off.
Yeah.
But I have seen like one of the basements you're talking about. I think I mentioned in Discord or another chat or something that like I have some distant relatives in Cleveland. My mom's parents were born and raised in Cleveland, and a bunch of us went to a family reunion, and the folks that hosted us, who were like second cousins or maybe third cousins, to be honest, I don't quite remember. They had a basement, and their basement was like Cleveland Browns Wonderland. Yeah. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't know that anybody could like the Cleveland Browns that much.
Oh my God.
It was amazing.
Yeah. That is one of a million basements dedicated to the Cleveland Browns in this area.
Awesome. Yeah, it probably. Yeah. It never occurred to me that anybody could like a football team that much. I'm just seeing Pudgy's super chat right now.
Yeah. Now it's on screen for me. Yeah.
Pudgy Bedell pushes super chatted $1.99. Patty, what was the porn industry like? Yin Yang Lizard.
Yin Yang Lizard. Yeah, you don't get to hear it tonight.
Yeah. Nice. I know I don't get to hear it. Yeah, but I know that voice.
Yeah.
I can totally imagine it.
Pudgy type quiet on the set. Yeah, it's funny.
That is hilarious.
It's such a thing. Like a girlfriend like that I had invited me, like, or was like, will you go to my big family's Christmas and help me out? And like, again, like that year the Browns happened to be playing, so it was like I posted up on a couch down in the basement, and it's like, dudes, like I know enough about football to be like, I could just be like, he was, that should have been a first down, like type thing. But it is. The Cleveland Browns basement is like, that is the whole man cave thing. Like I'm sure that term originated in Cleveland, like,
it's amazing. It's amazing. Truly. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about your bags, because now that I've gotten into the zeitgeist, and I guess, do people call these style bags like Paradise style bags? Is that where the brand and but the wider, instead of doing sausage roll,
That's my understanding. Yeah. So I know I first became aware of that style of bag through the Rivendell Bikes website, when they still had a lot of I think, is it Paradise? I think is actually a brand, right?
It's a UK brand or a British brand, yeah.
Yeah, and they had, at that time at least, a lot of bikes that were named after like Hobbit or Lord of the Rings sorts of references, and it's been long enough now, I don't remember them, but yeah, I remember these as Paradise style bags. So I ended up buying a couple of bags.
$4.99. Pudgy's basement was featured in Silence of the Lambs.
Awesome.
Back to I'm trying to find, I know I had a picture where I think you had one on the bars and one under the saddle of the
yeah. So Jay Ritchie, who makes those bags by Bird,
so that's a bag.
He had a little pop. Yeah, he had a little pop-up shop at one of our local bike shops.
There we go.
A couple of years ago, and I dropped in, and I was just like, yeah, that's a really nicely made bag. So I bought one. I bought the
All right, hang on a
Super
second.
chatted $1.99.
Oh, yeah.
Rick, shut up and put the lotion in the basket. Banana.
That's too damn funny.
I know. That's Summit's out. Good night, Summit. So okay,
See you, Summit.
like you were saying, the bags by Bird, because I know Pathless Pedal always shows them, and like when the
Yeah,
Zeitgeist, it
yeah.
seems like Swift kind of updated that style. But I was thinking
I
today
think, yeah.
that second Dow I kind of liked today when I was riding with the way the bag was pushing in on my head tube. I'm like, oh, now I see why the bags by Bird had that second Dow there to keep the structure at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyways, I'll let you
So
finish your story. Yeah.
oh yes. Well, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Became familiar with these first through Bags by Bird, but I do have a canvas Zeitgeist bag from Swift that Heather's been using now, and I think she used it on our most recent trip. That version of the Zeitgeist doesn't have the wooden dowel, and it doesn't hold its shape quite as well. So I think maybe that was an innovation from Bags by Bird, but I mean, maybe somebody else did it first. I don't truly know. But it was definitely one of the things I liked about that bag, because I have a very small bike. Because I'm pretty short. I'm 5'4", so I ride a very short bike, and so the space I have, both between the handlebar and the top of the front wheel, and especially the space between the saddle and the rear tire, is not that much. But the way that Bags by Birds bikes are designed, they just about fit. That big bag, the blue one there in the picture, I do usually need to cinch up just a little bit to pull it away from the tire, and I've used it both front and back.
Do your so putting the new Zeitgeist on like as my saddle on the Brooks, and like just cinching up so they go like horizontal like that, the back of my quads will hit them. And Jan at the bike, I was telling him it doesn't bother me that much, like on a 10-20 mile ride. And he was saying, he was like, but think if it's wet and you're touring. He was like, then it becomes super annoying. Well, I thought of taking some of it, because I know they make those Carrot Ice style racks that just pull it back upright, which is a good feature for like a shorter rider to keep it off the tire. But I figured take some of those foam spacers and put them in, and then it just pushed it back far enough. So have you had that problem with it, with the Brooks saddle of it? Like,
No,
maybe,
I haven't actually. Yeah, I can imagine how annoying that would be, but I haven't had that problem at all. Yeah.
and maybe that's what your
I
bag
haven't.
keeping more shape too, where the Zeitgeist don't keep as much shape as the Bags by Bird. So
That might be it. Yeah. Yeah. No, I haven't had any like physical contact with the bags. It's been mostly with that big blue bag, just keeping it up off of the tire enough, and either an extra valet strap or some of those Irish straps that Rivendell really likes. I've got a couple of those. Those actually do quite well for exactly that purpose. And so I just pack that bag with like the stuff I don't need during the day, sleeping bag, tarp, whatever.
and so is that like that's like the Cordura style, however you say it, style material on that one?
That one actually is blue waxed canvas.
Oh, it's a waxed
So
canvas.
the
Nice.
tan, yeah, the tan one is that tan X pack, and
Oh, no, I can't help it.
comment there. Yeah, the tan one is X pack, but the blue one is waxed canvas. So yeah, it's nice. I could absolutely recommend those bags. Jay Ritchie does. I mean, he's a craftsman. He's really a craftsman, and that's not even. I wouldn't even. That's not to say that Swift is not awesome, because I have a couple of Swift bags, including the Zeitgeist. I think they're also awesome. But I have a slight preference for the Bags by Bird
Well,
stuff now.
and Pathless Pedal Russ does too. So I mean, he's like someone I
Yeah,
definitely trust. He gets to use all. They send him all the cool stuff, like the good brands, like the brands, the makers
yeah,
that it seems like the people who watch my channel and we all chat too, like talk about. So
yeah.
I would definitely, yeah, that's not surprising to hear.
Yeah, yeah. I remember exactly the video that Russ did on the Bags by Bird bag. He's like, I recognize that label. I think I commented in the first 5 seconds of watching the video. Like,
Yeah.
it's so those are so good.
Yeah, and like he said too, he did a more recent review on it started with a J, but another brand, and the bags he was showing looked a lot like the Swift bags
yeah.
too, but he was like, man, these small makers, they can't make them fast enough, so to have another brand making good bags, that's even better. Like
Yeah.
Aaron just ordered Benedict, Ronnie Romance, whatever. He had that hip bag, handlebar bag that came out, and it was sold out in like 2 hours. I was out riding with Large Marge, and she was like,
Oh, I
she was
know.
like, I just like impulse bought like this Ronnie bag, and then like my other friend who was in the chat group was like, good thing you did. They're already sold out, So,
Yeah. Yeah, those seem really cool. And is it still true? Like at one time, I think Swift was actually making those for Ronnie Romance.
yeah. And now
Is that still true? Do you know?
Well, so we were talking about this with the what does he call it? His really big handlebar bag, Fabio's chest, which I know
Yeah.
Swift used to make, but these everything like the one she got, which is like a hip pack or a handlebar bag, they all say made in Connecticut now. So I think he must have found a local maker. And when
Okay.
I asked her that question specifically, and she was like, "No, I think they're made by a small maker in Connecticut because it says right here it's made by a small maker in Connecticut." So
Right on. Yeah.
here's
yeah.
a front view of that
Yeah, those-
setup. Yeah, how was it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I looked at I'm a gear whore.
Yeah,
Like I just but I'm trying to scale back. So I've resisted buying any romance, Rusty Romance, Ronnie Romance bikes, bike stuff. Geez, have I had a couple of these? Yes. Okay. Um, I've resisted buying a lot of new stuff recently because I know I just don't need it. But
you have what you need already. Yeah.
yeah, but it's tough. Like I see that stuff and it looks so shiny and new, and like, oh, that I would like to have that.
That's the thing.
But recently, I've stopped. Yeah, yeah.
See, I've never had the bike packing setup like what you have going on here in this photo is what I've been going for lately. So I have the cycle touring, and the distinction I didn't used to understand, but like paved or, moderately, crushed limestone is what a lot of our trails are made out of around here. My vintage Trek 500 is fine. I could run the panniers. I have the toe peak bag, all that stuff. But now I've been wanting something like this, and I think I'm getting into it at the right time because now we just have the choices and the options for a rackless bike packing setup, So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice. Yeah, I like it, and I like the way it carries too. I would have. You might not have guessed, or I might not have guessed. Like, so the Macho Man has pretty quick steering because it was really designed as a cyclocross bike more than a gravel bike. So it's pretty quick. So you would expect that to feel awkward in the steering, especially with a loaded bike, but and maybe with a true touring load with like full panniers and 30 to 40 pounds of gear in the back, and I don't know what, maybe you would have 20 in the front. But even though these bags are sitting pretty high, it rides really well. So I've just been really impressed with the way this bike. It's actually reinvigorated my appreciation for this bike. it's it just feels not really nice to ride, even loaded with what you see here.
I've had that
You
with.
know, I do.
Oh, go ahead.
For the most recent trip, I switched it up. I put the larger blue bag in the front. And Broadford's got a question I see in
Yeah.
the chat. What size BXB? The blue bag is the large, and the tan bag is what he used to call the Nino, and I think is now just called the small. I think he changed his nomenclature a little bit. I don't remember the liter, this like the volume of these bags offhand. But on the most recent trip, I put most of the weight with the larger bag on the handlebars, and the most of the water on my front forks. So it, front loaded all of the weight, and it just, to be honest, it didn't feel that much different than just riding unloaded, like on my commute or something like that. So
I felt that with my rally, which is so stable that I've talked about this. Like when I go and ride one of my vintage bikes and then get back on the rally, sometimes it throws me. I feel like it's not working. It's just straight. And so like putting some, when I've tried to like load up the front bag, I almost kind of like it because it gives it a little bit of a more, I don't know, just like I just get a little more like feel like input when I turn the bike. It's almost like the opposite of what you're saying, which is interesting because it's a bike that is not
yeah,
twitchy in any way. It's like I mean, this is a bike that is at home in like the deepest of gravel, but on the road sometimes you're just like, wait, is there any input in this? Am I ever going to turn this bike? So,
right, yeah, and I really thought that it would make a huge difference to have a longer wheelbase and a less responsive steering, and I thought I would prefer that. But as I think I've come to realize like that, although it is a very quick steerer because it's got a short rake and a short chainstay, it I don't know. All City just did this bike right. Like it just feels really good, even with that weight on it. So I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it, to be honest. It carries the weight well, and I'm not carrying a lot of weight. I do have a bike packing setup, so I've got a fairly light sleeping bag. I think I was carrying just a tarp for shelter that we never ended up using. We just slept out in the open because a lot of times we can.
yeah.
A little bit of food, and the water was the heavy stuff, and that was all low on the frame and on the forks. So, yeah, I don't know. I suppose it probably would not do as well with a more traditional touring setup with heavy panniers and that sort of thing. But with that bikepacking setup, it does nicely.
Yeah, I run into the problem with the first tour I did with the Trek being a vintage bike that's not even truly a touring bike, all the weight on the back. I couldn't totally take my hands off the bars. The front end started shimmying. And so
Yeah.
the next few times I realized I'm like, I need to get more in the frame bag and more on the front. But it's also 9-speed Shimano where you have your cables sticking out the sides of the levers. So
Oh yeah.
so I had never considered, like we were talked about, the Paradise style bag until I even switched the Rally because I had 9-speed Shimano on that to 11-speed. And then it cleared up the handlebars to be able to have the bigger handlebar bag. So it was one of those things when I used to watch Pathless Pedal, and I'm like, unless you have full on modern bike, like a lot of this is irrelevant because you can't put a big front bag on, which I don't know what the percentage of the population riding bikes, like what kind of bikes. A lot of people like new stuff, but
Yeah, right.
I'm someone who's like, man, if I could pick it up like one speed less for like $200, you know. So
Right.
doing a neo retro build, you know, it's like, hey, when I upgraded the Trek from 1982 shifting to 2007 shifting, that was a gigantic upgrade. It just means you can't put a lot on
Oh
your
yeah.
handlebars. So,
Right. Yeah.
which
Yeah. Yeah.
the old
So
like Rene Hurst and all that mentality didn't matter because it was down tube or bar end, with the old.
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I still I have yet to buy some like Rene Hurst tires. I keep googling them, and one of these days I'll probably put them on a bike. But I'm kind of like I'm out of sync with them. Like they have like new tires, and I'm like, just kind of like put new tires on a couple of months ago, and they're still good for like, for me at least, quite a long time.
and I bet you guys get more
So
use out of your tires than we do because we're either in pavement or like the industrial gravel or the rough stuff. So I actually have a set of Rene Hurst
yeah,
at the shop because I'm going to change since we're going to do tube. Let's do it there, and I'll pay them for the sealant. But instead of buying another tiny piece of plastic that needs to go in the trash, I could use their bigger, you know, whatever container of it. But I did buy them because my
yeah,
Terravale cannonballs on the rear are almost you can't see any tread. But I'm just holding out until like the next big thing we do because I'm like wear them out as much as you can, And then, but yeah, so
yeah, yeah,
I got their moderate ones. They're lightweight, but not the ultra lightweight. So yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Pudgy was saying he can't justify the money for the price he's sending his money to Ron Ultra Dynamico. At the, we were talking about this the other day too. I mean, when you talk about like a $10 to $15 price difference, and if you're going to get 2,000, 2,500 miles out of them, like I'm not saying don't buy Ultra Dynamicos. Like they're great tires too. That's what Erin's running on her crust, but it's not that much of a premium. I also got the Rene Hurst at their last price point because Otis already had them in the shop, and he was like, "These are $15 more expensive next time I buy them." So, but yeah, I mean they. It's funny because Ultra Dynamico, right? Rene Hurst, and what two of the other brands we always Terravale, and they're all made in the Panaracer
Yeah.
factory. It's just the way they design them in the casings they
Yeah,
choose.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true, and and I like a bunch of those tires, and I've tried various Pan racers. I like them well enough. Um, for no particular reason other than I've had good experiences with them. I have a lot of Continentals in my lineup, and including the tires that I have on the Macho Man at the moment are Continentals. Just because like they were they were available, which
Yeah.
most recently has been an issue. They were available, but they had a size that fit. I think I've probably mentioned at some point in a chat or something like my one gripe about the Macho Man is it maxes out at 650B by 42, and I wish it went wider than that, but it maxes out at 42. So a lot of 650B that you find for sale these days, 42 is like they don't even have that narrow, but the Continental did, and it was a nice looking tread. And as it happened, I bought it. It's the Terra. Oh gosh, Terra something or other. I don't remember the model name, but it turns out it's a pretty fast roller on pavement, which I really like because I just really enjoy riding fast. But it also has a lot of really good grip on sand and gravel and various off-road pavements or off-road surfaces.
Yeah, see, Pudgy was saying that he felt that his Gravel Kings wore quickly, but my Terravale cannonballs have worn out actually quicker than any other tire I've had. So it's probably just what you end up riding, and it's so hard to like. I've said this before too, talking about tires. A lot of times it's like, so we switch tires when we wear them out because we're not tire testers. We're regular people. So
Yeah.
also the
Right.
different
Yeah.
feel between different tires, unless you have like new sets on different bikes, which I only have one true gravel bike. So I'm never comparing apples to apples. Like even right now, I'm about to compare worn out Terravale Cannonballs to brand new Rene Earths, so
Right. Yeah.
which was compared to the WTBs I used to have, which looked more like the Rene Earths like tread pattern, which I always felt like even though they were big
Yeah.
knobby, they moved quickly on the road, whereas Gravel Kings looked like they would be faster on the road. But I never really felt that with the Gravel Kings, like they were as fast as. But again,
Yeah.
never comparing apples to apples, so it's just hard to know. I mean,
It's so hard, right? Yeah. Like my Gravel Kings that I have on my single speed cross check are definitely faster than the Surly Nards that came on the Macho Man. They just roll a little bit faster, and that's very obvious to me. But I feel like they're slower than other treads I've tried. The Schwalbe G1, G Road G1, whatever it's called, like that was a very fast on pavement ride that did very well on gravel for me, or at least the gravel we have around here. I never rode it in mud, but I've ridden it on a lot of dirt roads, so and it worked nicely. But the Continental that I have now is definitely faster on pavement than the Schwalbe G1, and it also feels a little more on dirt roads. I feel a little more confident with it because it's got a little chunkier edge, and a very similar tread on the kind of on the round top of the tire. So
yeah, and that was interesting.
It's probably.
Yeah, Jan Hein was talking on Ted King's show about how on like dry gravel, he was like, tread doesn't matter at all. He was like, on like nice dry gravel, he was like, gravel slips on gravel, not on your tire. And one of the reasons I wanted to get a set of Reneers is I'm just like, I love what a nerd Jan Hein is. Like how much like effort he puts into like understanding this stuff. You know what I mean? So, and again,
Yeah, right.
it's like nothing against anybody else. It's just like one of those things where I'm like, when this guy talks, but then also his attitude is like, what feels right to you is what's right. You know what I mean? He's like, if that felt faster, it's faster. Like that's all there is to it. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, the science, we have the science for
Yeah.
certain things. He was like, but if you felt more comfortable on this, that's what you should ride. Like so.
Yeah, yeah, and I for sure don't claim any kind of like scientific, observation to any of this. It's all about feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have a big joke
definitely.
around our group because Otis was doing like SAG support, Otis from Dirty River, something, and my dad was doing one of these fundraiser rides. And he pulled up, and Otis was like, "You're running your pressure, way too high." And my dad was saying, like, "Well, I put in, what's on the sidewall, like I was saying earlier." And it's like, well, that's a max pressure.
Right.
And but my dad was also saying he flats all the time because he's not running tubeless. Obviously, he's old school. So the hybrid, he's
Yeah,
riding a
yeah.
hybrid Cannondale now. He used to ride trucks, but flatting all the time. And it was like, well, also you're flatting all the time. We need to just lower it a little bit, not lower, way lower. But my dad's when he came back to the shop after Otis had done that, and he was like, "We've got to lower the pressure again. What did you think? Do you think anything?" And my dad said, "Should help." So now whenever now whenever Otis gives us any advice, or when anyone gives us any advice, we're should help has become the whole like writing someone off completely, like like,
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah.
I don't know why it shouldn't like it just kind of randomly. Maybe because I'm like I've had a couple of drinks, but it reminds me that a couple of years ago, there's a local ride called the 24 Hours of the Old Pueblo. It's actually a mountain bike race, and so it's a 24-hour race, and some people like full on compete, and they get teams of like anywhere from like solo riders to I don't know, 16 riders or more that do, and they do laps. It's a 16-mile loop. And the first time I rode in that race on just a very casual team where we were just like, we'll ride some bikes, we'll have some beers, we'll have fun. And I did not set my mountain bike up tubeless. I actually had tubes in, but I put some stands tubeless in the tubes, and only discovered like partway through the ride that like I was down to almost nothing. I had like 5 pounds of pressure or something in there, but it held up, and I got through the entire lap on like 5 pounds of pressure, and finished without actually flatting in the midst of like thorns and like cactus needles and all of that. And at the time I was like, oh, I could hear that tire just like slipping around under the rim the whole time, but somehow it managed to make it through the ride. And that actually turned out, I think I rode 3 laps on that race, and that was my fastest lap at like 5 pounds of pressure on a sloppy tube.
That's what Jan Heines said. He was like, it doesn't matter. He was like, tire pressure doesn't matter for speed. He's like, it matters for feel. And he's like, as long as you're not gonna pinch flat or blow it off the rim, it doesn't matter. And that's just it's crazy. It's so counterintuitive, you know what I mean? But
yeah. It's kind of amazing I didn't pinch flat, but I don't know. It was a miracle.
Looks like traveling through is gonna pass out. I'm glad you were able to join us. I look forward to your next leg of the tour. We'll see you out there. Yeah, I hope we get some warmer days. So I'm sure he will. He's doing a lot of the tour when the weather could be pretty iffy. So
yeah, for sure.
Brodford said he likes. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say he could get into Colorado this time of year and have anything at all.
Yeah, probably impassable roads even, right?
Even, yeah, for sure.
Brodford said he likes the Renee Hurst Pumpkin Ridge 650 by 42 knobby. I think mine are the I think mine are the Hurricane Ridge. They'll be 742s. So yeah.
I was looking at the Pumpkin Ridge, and I was like, I kept like for I don't know 3 weeks probably. I kept refreshing the page to see if they had any in stock, and they never did. So I finally bought the Continentals. But I don't know. I would really like to try the Renee Hurst. I've never bought any of their tires. I don't know. They sound good. I'd like to try them.
Yeah, Otis has been reading Bicycle Quarterly since it came out, so he's definitely a true believer and all that stuff. And I love reading it. The trips they take and all that stuff are amazing. Pudgy's saying maybe he's that guy, but he disagrees with Jan on tire pressure. I've definitely realized like what he's saying is humans are bad at understanding speed, and we get it through like vibration and the feedback. And I have noticed like we have like someone is, I can't remember if it's someone in the chat now, but a lot of my videos about the brick roads. But I realized like riding my Trek 1500, which is just on my trainer now, an aluminum bike that only fits 28s. I have some fast times up the brick climbs on that bike because like it's total power transfer, right? You know, stiff aluminum bike, stiff crankset, thin tires. But I realized like, man, when it comes to like a flat on like that kind of stuff, those bikes are just shaking you to death. And once you dampen that road vibration, it's like, no, I am faster like across our Y bridge, which has all these drainage, bumps. It's like, man, on my vintage bikes or like a steel bike that has some flex and that I could fit like 32s and be running more like 60. Yeah, it's faster, and then even with the gravel bike on 42s, I've got some PRs. Even it never feels as fast, but it does seem to be as fast. So
yeah. It's amazing, and I think I know there's some science behind all that stuff, but I do really feel like a lot of it comes down to feel and it transfers into your confidence. Like if you're bombing down a hill. if you feel confident in your ride or your ride quality, and it could be any combination of things between like the tires and your tire pressure and the way that your frame flexes or transfers that energy back to you as a rider, you're going to ride differently. And it's a multi-dimensional set of feedbacks to your brain. And yeah.
Yeah, and I've always said this: feeling fast is fast. Like my vintage Schwinn that
Yeah.
has the Dura-Ace on it, like it's aerodynamic. It just feels fast when I'm on that bike. And so if I'm riding on smooth roads and going fast, like I am faster because riding is a mental game. You know what I mean? Like it's. I don't know how much of it is my, if I'm going for PR, my legs, my lungs, or just that mental ability to like feel like I'm getting after it, and that bike makes me feel like I'm getting after it. And I only ride it if I'm in that mood because I've got 10 other bikes to ride. So
yeah. I don't know. Pudgy says like maybe that's a skinny lighter rider thing. I am not a skinny lighter rider thing. I'll tell you that right now. I'm a short chubby fellow. So
I'm neither because I am skinny but I'm tall, so that weight adds up, so I'm not a climber either.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I always joke that I'm a classic specialist, but I'm nothing.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. You on the Sentinel Peak ride, which was the very first video I posted, like compared to everybody else who ever goes on those rides, like I'm the guy who's just like huffing and puffing like up the back of that hill, man. It's so hard. And I'm like, despite being like a little bit chubby, like I'm actually fairly fit from doing weightlifting and a lot of other different things. But the friends I ride with who are just like natural, skinny, athletic types, and including my friend Jim, who's like turning 62 this year, he's just like riding up the back of the hill having a conversation. I'm like struggling to contribute to the conversation back to him. So, who knows?
I do find that and I always do find that interesting. And we were having this discussion too about like even being able to push it, like how much is physical ability versus mental ability? Like, because I know like when I say I'm on the limit, like I'm not a pro, like a top level, like if I'm climbing like the hill that comes up here to the studio, which is 3/4 of a mile, but it's a climb. It's like how much of it is like being able to deal with the pain versus where is my actual lung capacity and leg strength giving out. Some nights like you hit it and you're like, mentally I'm not here, like I just can't push through that limit of, and you would love to know it with your friends when you're riding with your friends. You're like, obviously like different bodies, like someone who's heavier, you're just not going to be a faster climber. That's just a fact of life.
Yeah. It's a given, yeah, for sure.
But even on the flat, you're like, how much of this is like, this guy can just endure more mental, pain? Like that's something you can't know. I don't really think, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I mean, unless you really put it to the test, it's hard to say.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, doing wattage type stuff, but yeah. These are the kind of things that I think of way too much, and that's doesn't even have to be cycling related. It's just why I don't sleep well. Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, right. Yeah, it's that 2:30 in the morning like thought that wakes you up, and you're like you obsess over it. Yeah. you try to read through it. You try to like take a walk around the house. You try to go back to sleep, and it's still there. Oh God, no! Just let me sleep, man. You know what I think that is, Tim? That's just part of getting old.
Yeah. I used to always hear that from older people. They're like, "Yeah, you don't sleep well anymore," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, here I am. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, for me it began in my mid 40s, and it so far it's only gotten worse.
Oh, that's real assuring. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Pudgy just told me in the
Yeah,
sprint he's
yeah,
taking
yeah.
my lunch money. Maybe that's just what he said.
Nice, nice.
Looks like Heather's heading to bed.
I see that. Yeah, yeah. Heather's working in Flagstaff this week, and
Oh,
she's an archaeologist. She's got an early start tomorrow. Most likely, she's starting work at like 5:30 in the morning or something like that. So,
and it's already
you know,
not as late for you, right? It's only because is it nine
yeah,
fifteen for you or 8:15?
it's 8:15 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You may know a lot. Some of you may know at least like Arizona only does standard. Well, most of Arizona only does standard time, so we don't do daylight savings time. So it's basically always Mountain Standard here, which means that during daylight saving time for the rest of the country, we're in sync with California and Oregon and Washington,
Hmm.
which is the case right now. So we're 3 hours behind Eastern. When daylight stops, we'll be 2 hours behind Eastern.
Okay, so that makes more sense. Yeah, I get it now. But also, it makes sense why you don't need daylight saving times because that's a was originally a farmer thing. So
Yeah, right. Yeah. And although actually Arizona has had a lot of agriculture historically and somewhat still now, but I think the legislature here long ago decided like we have plenty of summer daylight.
yeah,
We don't need any more. in fact, if we could reverse that, it might be helpful. So yeah, so we're basically always on Mountain Standard Time, with the exception basically of the Navajo Reservation, which does observe daylight saving time. So they stay in sync with like New Mexico and Colorado and Utah.
was that I think 77 who was here earlier was talking. Someone was talking about that being on the Navajo.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I missed most of that conversation, but I saw some reference to the Navajo Res.
yeah.
So yeah.
How Pudgy was saying about the sprint. Don't worry, we'll get it back on the next climb. Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's totally true.
There's nights where we go out with my friends, and it's kind of like that. We'll be riding through the Cuyahoga Valley, but then obviously, the Cuyahoga Valley is just a snaky thing through Northeast Ohio. Anywhere you live, like up here in Cuyahoga Falls, my parents are on the other side over in Bath. You know, Akron sits. Akron just means high place. It's Akros in Greek. Um, so
Oh,
you're
okay.
you're always climbing because the way the valley is around here. But it's funny because you really do notice that. It's like we all could, if we're all out there, you kind of shift back and forth. If there's a climb, some of us go ahead, and then if we're on the flat, the other ones could go ahead. So yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Uh, Pudgy,
Yeah,
Pudgy was saying 77 was a Navajo who farmed cannabis in Oregon. If you, oh, okay.
cool. Yeah. So yeah, he would have been a transplant to Oregon then, most likely. Or yeah, I suppose not necessarily, but most likely.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the time Ohio was settled, like the tribe that lived here, like Northeast Ohio, was the Delaware. Obviously, the Delaware were from Delaware,
Oh,
but yeah,
right.
that's the Native Americans that are most closely associated with where we're from. But again, they're associated with that because that's when white people started writing down history around here. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Native history is so complex. It's
it's complex because it's been
wow.
erased and destroyed and pushed around and yeah.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, I just, I, I don't know. I pause for a second because I just to recognize like I have such complex feelings around that, recognizing that it's such a hard thing, and as a white guy, I have so much privilege around where I am, um, and the life I have access to, compared to Native Americans and other minorities. But I think I feel especially for Native Americans, even being fairly ignorant of so much of their history, that I don't know. I take a second of pause to thinking about that, even knowing that I know very little about it. So
Yeah, and like your contact out there is more than ours, whereas like ours is all in historical context because they've been removed so long ago by every treaty the United States has
yeah,
made. So, working on a corn farm in the Cuyahoga Valley, I have 2 boxes full of Native American artifacts, and the most recent ones are Delaware. But like I said, again, of course, the Delaware aren't the historic people of this land. They're the people that, when the white farmers were pushing them out, that was left. So yeah, very complex, very
right, yeah,
confusing. Our older cultures here are Hopewell, and but the knowledge, like we have the largest here in Ohio, the largest effigy mound. I think it's the largest effigy mound in North America is here in Ohio, the Serpent Mound, and we know
oh
nothing
yeah, right,
about it. We don't know the actual builders of it. We don't, because other cultures have obviously come and gone since then, and have used it and been around there. And I actually made a trip down there to see it, and it's like, this is like as far as you could get from anywhere in Ohio. But just an
yeah,
amazing place.
yeah,
But we literally do not know. Like, once you start digging into it, we know nothing about it. Like,
yeah.
you know,
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. I guess we have, in the Western U.S., that's a little bit different. I think I personally don't claim a lot of knowledge about the native history and native cultures here, but I think in general there is a lot that is known, through a variety of sources, both current and historical. So, um, I guess the I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that, to be
well,
honest.
some of
Like,
the
it's so
there's
complex.
still people around that like the knowledge got to get passed through, whereas here there's not that
Yeah,
situation, and especially on the East Coast,
yeah,
Boston, you know, the Native American city that sits under Boston is so long gone. You know what I mean? Like Plymouth is
yeah.
so long
Right.
gone. Those cities don't sit there because they're a great place for like white people from Europe to settle. They sit there because there was already a huge
Yeah,
city
right.
there, that has been
Yeah,
erased and the people have been erased, like so.
yeah, yeah. No, that's a really interesting point. Whereas here, like, if there's a utilities project, like a gas pipeline, or an electrical, um, grid that's being put in, you know, part of the federal law is that you have to find out what cultural resources are there, and a big part of that is this, surveying that land, and b, consulting with, the current Native American tribes that claim cultural heritage to that area, to find out, like, is this area, like, do you claim some cultural meaning to this place, and they have the opportunity to say yes, or no, but I think most of the time they say yes, and have some voice to go into that project, to say that, yeah, this place is meaningful to us for this reason, or if there are, archaeological sites that are found in that area, people have the opportunity to have a voice as to what that means for them, and that's especially true if there are human remains found in various places.
So for
So there.
so to look at
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
to look at the 180 of that, just the historical facts. So like Hispaniola, where Haiti, and the Dominican Republic are, where Columbus first landed. There's not a single survivor. The natives who live there are completely extinct. Like so, and I think that's a lot with East Coast culture is the same thing. But in the Caribbean, it's like
Right.
these people don't even exist anymore to have a say. So like there's,
Yeah.
it's just a crazy fact if when you think about it. Like the people Columbus met
Yeah.
on Hispaniola don't exist anymore. Like they've been completely wiped from the face of
Yeah.
the earth.
Oh,
So but culturally
wow.
that's the same on the
Yeah. What a.
East Coast in the United States. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a crazy thought, and and you're right. I think it's largely true and very sad. Here in the West, that's generally there is somebody who has a voice about these things, and under. I mean, frankly, just because it's the right thing to do, but
yeah,
fortunately, also under most federal and state laws, they have a right to express the meaning that it has for them. Like these places, sometimes very local places, and sometimes very broad landscapes. Um, I think as a country we could do better in recognizing all of that, uh, it's definitely a reality when like big infrastructural projects are underway in the Western U.S. in a way that it may not be as much in the Eastern U.S. So
yeah.
that's a that's an interesting distinction that, yeah, I think we should all take some pause and think about, like, why that is.
Yeah, no one when they put a
Yeah.
new subway tunnel in New York, they're not worrying about it anymore. Like
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's really true.
yeah,
Yeah, it's really true. And whereas here, like, a new power line might go in and find, like, something really significant. Not that long ago. So my girlfriend Heather, who signed off a little while ago, she works for a company that does exactly this kind of work. They do, uh, uh, I guess you would call it compliance work. So when a pipeline or a road project or some other utility is being put in, they go out and they survey and they find out what's there. They compare that to old survey records or old archaeological records of various kinds to see what's there, and they also actually walk transects up and down through the area where a project is happening. And about, I don't know, 5 years ago, I think, they found 3,000-year-old footprints in an area that was a floodplain. Well, actually, like a river, not a delta, but a place where there was a lot of river deposits from going back 3,000 years in a river valley. And the county was putting in a new road, and they found 3,000-year-old footprints, and they found if I remember right, like 2 adult footprints and a child's footprints and a set of canine footprints that could have been a domesticated dog, could have been a coyote. Nobody really knows. And it was one of the coolest things that was found locally in a long time. And it got written up in the local newspapers, and people went to visit it, and they brought people in to have like little tours. And it was just so cool, and it's just say, like, 3,000 years ago. Like, think about
yeah,
that. That was 1,000 years before Jesus, right?
Yeah.
That was when, like, the Babylonians, like, and obviously in the Fertile Crescent and Europe, there's like much older, like, documented archaeology and history, but in North America, that's one of the oldest things that has really been documented.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah, and I got
And you could see, like, they could actually see in a couple of instances, like they could just about get like the lines of their toes, like a fingerprint, like almost to the point where they can actually identify as the specific individual that left those prints, if they had some other evidence of that individual.
Well, Obsolescence was saying, I guess we could trace all human races back to the same place, and actually we can. It's the Ethiopia area. Like, I mean, like it is all traceable back.
Yeah,
like,
right.
We literally walked. We walked out of Africa.
Have the Olduvai Gorge.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We literally have that evidence. Yeah, that goes back, a million years.
Yeah. I mean, it's I've listened to some. That's not the right term. Evolutionists talk about like when you have that dream where you wake up like you're falling and you wake up and it like freaks you out because you have that sensation of falling, and they really believe that evolutionarily we're here as. I mean, like me and you, like, and everyone in this chat, because we're ones who have those sensations. The people that didn't have that sensation of being afraid of falling out of a tree fell out of a tree and got eaten by a cheetah. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And that's just like a
right.
That's like a fact of who we are. We're the people who were afraid to fall out of trees. You know, like that's our literal all of our ancestors. No matter if you're Irish, if you're, if you're Native American, like whatever, like we all walked out of that continent where we were, and we're all the survivors, the people who had a sense of not falling out of a tree, like, right?
Yeah, totally. Totally, yeah.
The people who weren't concerned with that, slipped out of the tree and died, and they didn't have kids.
Totally. Pudgy says we're the best invasive species. It's totally true. Yeah, it's totally true. With I don't know, maybe cockroaches are a little bit better than us, or like goat heads. I don't know. Goddamn goat heads.
It's interesting as they keep doing the science too, like with the Neanderthals, that they thought we just like eliminated with our bigger brains and being more like cunning. Now they think we might have just outbreeded them. We interbreeded with them, and like we actually have some Neanderthal genes in all of us, and we just out-gened them. We didn't actually kill them off. So,
yeah. A lot of the current science that I've read suggests that like Neanderthals were probably like short and stocky and had reddish hair, and I really identified that with that. So I'm just calling it. I think I must have some Neanderthal.
Well, speaking of piddle breaks, I'm definitely on the limit of a piddle break. So.
Right on. Yeah.
Well, this was a lot of fun. Why don't we wrap it up? I'll go to a piddle break. I'll come back and close out. But yeah, it was fun to talk. I think we'll see who else wants to do it. And like I've been saying, I think we circle back around and maybe do a bigger, broader chat. But yeah, this is awesome. And I'm glad we got this chance talking across the country on a live stream. It's still amazing.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, thanks a lot, Tim. I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah. All right, man. Is this on the second round of the pedal break? Yeah, that was a blast. I felt like that was a great conversation, so I hope everybody else who has hung out enjoyed it as well. So we've gone to Plaid. Yeah, Broadford, that is exactly what I thought when Spaceballs was the, motivation for that, for sure. But yeah, that conversation I thought was a blast. Like I said, I've been fascinated by the landscape that Patrick's been riding in since he's started posting videos and chatting. But then also I knew he had a very good opinion on bikes, and the stuff he's been riding is right up the alley of this group, which is probably why we all connected. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. We didn't even cry, so we tried there in the end, but didn't get to full tears. So yeah, I saw there were a couple side conversations, like I said, that I kind of missed out on, but I think we were having the nice full, conversation that was still paying enough attention. So yeah, as always, let me know. I am actually shooting a video at 9 in the morning with the mayor of Akron, so I'm not going to go on too much longer. Convo, as the kids say, and abort, as Pudgy is saying. Yeah, that famous large Marge message, abort. Yeah, so I'm doing this is kind of an interesting video. It's another virtual event, but all prepackaged for the Ohio and Erie Canalway, which funds the towpath at some point south of Cleveland and then all the way down to New Philadelphia. Actually, I have one of their bandanas on now. But basically, it would be their big fundraising event with dinner and speeches. And the last 2 years we've gone virtual. Today I filmed the CEO of Children's Hospital or General. Now I'm drawing a blank. And then tomorrow, the mayor of Akron and a couple other people who are friends of the main guy who gets an award, which would be the canal boat captain. So, yeah, it would be cool. It's going to be a fun video to put together, and obviously right up my alley because it directly supports the towpath, which me and Large Marge and other people on this channel use all the time. Oh, Broadford was asking which hat. I just got this. It's the League of American Bicyclists, and they 1890s group originally, but now they're a huge advocacy group for so when the transportation bill comes up, they put a ton of money into lobbying for bike lanes and bike infrastructure, and they've been with the Biden administration very successful. But yeah, I saw this cat they had, and I love the I bike, I vote. It's a Walls cap. So Walls, if you guys know Walls caps, which are great company. So I saw it on their website because I'm a member, and they put out good literature. I usually have it so they don't send me the stuff, so I could just read it online. But yeah, definitely a cool cap. And a cause worth, there are people who are putting in the work, you know what I mean? I don't have the time to do the true advocacy I would like to do, so I like to, try and just throw the money that way. When I try and adjust my caps on camera, everything's backwards of a mirror and I can't tell what I'm doing, but yeah. Yeah, so anyways, like we've talking, we should definitely get some more of the members on. We got the stream dialed. It's figured out. Like I know, when I had Dylan on, it was really smooth and a couple other ones, but then things seemed to change and they weren't working out right. It looks like we have it back, and then now it's actually better than ever because before, like I said at the beginning, people couldn't see me, but when me and Patrick were talking, we were able to look directly at each other in real time, and it's the other stuff that is a little bit delayed. So super chats, the videos, the photos, it takes a couple seconds for those to pop up on YouTube, and there's nothing you can do about that. So yeah, the league and People for Bikes. Yeah, People for Bikes are the other ones I like to support. Yeah, both of them are doing just great advocacy work, but also, and this is what Aaron's kind of working in now too. It's like it's not all relevant exactly to me, but it's getting more people out on bikes. You know what I mean? More people who, you know, don't feel comfortable riding into their city center or riding even from the city center out into the suburbs or out into the parks. Like they're driving there because they will only go out on the bike trails. So yeah, I'm huge. I'm huge on like, it doesn't need to be about the way I ride. I'll ride, you know, I'll ride in New York. I'll ride in Chicago. I'll ride in Cleveland. I'll ride in downtown Akron. The problem is other people won't, and we can't get this critical mass we need until like we have to give, I think, to these groups that do the real work. So yeah, it's even better when they support small makers too to make their swag, and then they're getting a cut to do the advocacy work and all that kind of stuff. So Pudgy said the stream went well. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, it was dialed. Even playing the YouTube videos in the background seemed to look good to me when I looked over at where the live stream was. One thing I figured out too is, so what I did with the GoPro is right here. The 5D that I'm filming on now is here, but I put the GoPro in front of where I'm talking to the guests. So when I'm talking, I'm actually at least kind of looking in that direction. Seems to be another thing that makes sense. So yeah. How Pudgy was saying the back time. So Pudgy's saying the background YouTube videos didn't lag this time. That is just a. I don't know where that when they go blocky and they start like stopping up, where that's coming from, because sometimes it's my own YouTube videos and it's just me on here. I think it's just one of those issues with live streaming, and it's just there's too many. It's not even from my setup. I think it's just in the broader internet chain of things. It's hard to know those little things. It's like, but get this dialed so this, at least from this end, it's not the problem. And then when you guys alert me something's not working well, we cut that little thing. So yeah. Oh, you guys are talking about having your Amazon Smile set up so that that little cut goes to the charities of your choice. That's a great way to do it. Yeah. Just change that damn members video. I did. Good thing Micah wasn't here tonight, because I did not have Micah's name on it. So I did figure out a new way to. But again, like that's why I was saying at the beginning, this new computer is going to be a huge deal for me, because it's not that I don't have the capabilities to do the things I want. Like literally that original video, having everyone's name pop up at different times, which looked really cool, meant that they're all on a different track. Well, I know Rick knows, does Premiere Pro, and Dylan does. Dylan's probably long asleep by now. But on a computer that's not working well, that just, those kind of graphics, even though it's just text names, like bogs the system down. And I couldn't add another one to it. Like I couldn't get through the editing process. And it's like, I know what I need to do. It's simple. It's a name, but yeah. Pudgy. I'm telling Micah, hey dude, you named it after a rock. All right. Anyways, like I said, I did still make a better one. Still has the tuna boat song. Still has a little less organization in the list. Still isn't as cool as the original, but it's the halfway until the new computer arrives. So on Thursday it'll be better. And so on Thursday I'm thinking I'm of two minds. I kind of want to get down in the basement and work on the look, but we also have a lot of cool photos that people have been sharing over the last few weeks that having the guests we haven't gotten to. So, you know, maybe I'll put up a poll what you guys would rather see and we could just do it that way. But yeah, I do like guest Tuesday, shop Thursday. So Pudgy's saying it's bedtime. I think he's right. Let's sign off. And so yeah, there will be a full video drop on Tuna Boat Special on Thursday morning, which is a video, like I said, I think it came out good, so hopefully everyone likes. And then the stream on Thursday evening. So yeah, look but don't ride is exactly true. So yeah, and then we'll see each other in the Discord. Those of you who are over there leading up until that.
Okay, bye.
All right.
Cause
Yeah.
this not okay.
Fitzwater photo.